Hancock's words are completely from the heart. After reading the news a few days ago and getting along with him during this period, I gradually learned from Robin about the future development direction of the Cross family. Hancock trains himself every day. Despite having electrotherapy, no matter how hard he practices, his body will not be left with hidden diseases, but it will take at least a few years for Hancock to help Khan. If it is in other sea areas, eating Hancock, who is known as the strongest thunderfruit in Logia, can now share the pressure for Khan. Because in those sea areas, Hancock, who possesses elementalization and can teleport regardless of all obstacles, is the overlord. In New World, the strongest sea, Hancock doesn't have that much advantage. With teleportation that ignores all obstacles, Hancock may still be invincible, but there are not too many people who can hurt her. There are countless people she can't beat at this stage. It's like Momonosuke couldn't exert the ability of artificial phantom beast species at the age of 8, and could only become a loach. Hancock, who is 12 years old this year, her current lightning is only tens of millions of volts at most, and she can't produce lightning of over 100 million volts. And how many volts is the natural lightning in nature? The minimum is 100 million volts. That is to say, the lightning that Hancock is currently producing with all his strength is not as powerful as the weakest natural lightning. In the Sea of New World, there are too many people who can block the thunder and even defeat it. Think of Khan as the master who must repay in this life. During this period of time, Hancock's dream is that after he becomes stronger, he can help the master to share the pressure, and then get the master's appreciation. Beautiful picture. After waking up with a smile, Hancock was full of regrets and motivation to practice again. But now, from Khan's mouth, she learned that there are devil fruits in this world who sacrifice their lives in exchange for strength. How does this not surprise Hancock? As long as one acquires great strength, sacrifices the joy of growing up, and still has a little lifespan, it is nothing. Master, I am willing to. Me too. Almost after Hancock finished speaking, Mary also raised her hand and said. Same goes for Robin and Sonia. During this period, the 4 women did not show the slightest hesitation on their faces. Clearly, they've all been transformed into Khan's inside. As long as it can help Khan, a little lifespan is not worth mentioning at all. Khan, who was born with observation haki, saw all the inner thoughts of the 4 girls, and his heart was filled with a sense of accomplishment. These are the wings that I cultivated myself. Otherwise, instead of aiming to become the strongest creature in the world, Khan feels that he is more suitable to be the world's #1 cultivation master. Khan, who was complacent in his heart, asked with a smile on the surface, then how old do you want to be? 18 years old. The 4 girls of Robin looked at each other, and then, as if they were connected with each other, they said the same number in unison. It seems that we all have a tacit understanding. Khan couldn't help giving a thumbs up, grinning. I think so too. 18 is a very good age. How good is it? People of this age are not only teenagers, but also youth, and even adults. At the same time, this age is also the number that Khan finally arrived at after several days of thinking will bring the greatest improvement and benefits to the 4 Robin girls. In the original book, Hancock also became the Empress of Amazon Lily Kingdom, at the age of 18, the captain of the 9 snake pirates, and the youngest 7 warlords of the sea. At that age, Hancock with Paramecia sweet fruit and Conqueror's haki, his strength in New World is definitely at the level of a billion Baileys, and he is also the top cadre and Emperor's deputy to join the Overlord pirates. In this life, although Hancock did not have the extremely foul Paramecia sweet fruit, but he ate the destructive and comprehensive Logia thunderfruit that completely crushed Paramecia sweet fruit. After reaching the age of 18, although Hancock lacks a Conqueror's haki who has not yet awakened compared to the original book, his overall strength is definitely far above himself in the original book. The same goes for Robin and Mary and Sonia. After the biological age reaches 18 years old, they have the method of cultivating haki of the 9 snakes. The 3 girls will soon be able to master the 2-color haki, and the practice of marine 6 styles will also be more effective. After Khan finds the devil fruit for Sonia, she will instantly become the existence of the 4 women, second only to Hancock in strength. At that time, in addition to the patriarch Khan, the Cross family will also have 2 giants. Cultivate another giant, and Khan will have the 3 giants necessary for the Overlord pirates. Then train some senior cadres, or the 4th and 5th giants. In a few years, the background of the Cross family will be far away from the weakest beasts pirates, which is much cuter. Burst into tears. In addition, 18 is also the safest age. Khan has the idea of helping Robin's 4 daughters to get age-linked because he knows that the pure gold that is said to be able to buy the whole world is real. And that pure gold is in the body of a lanternfish. Once the Cross family has established itself in New World, Khan will go hunting for the lanternfish. If he can't find it, he will start looking for it. If you can't find it even after opening and cheating, Khan will wait until 19 years later and ask Destiny's son to help him find it. 19 years later, Robin's 4 daughters were only 37 years old. This age is the best time of life, the absolute golden age. Shanks is also 37 years old when the episode begins. And when Kazuki died, he was only 36 years old, and his appearance was at its peak. Even Sha-Chi, who is 64 years old, looks like a sister Yu. As long as Robin and Hancock don't overeat for power like Mary and Sonia in the original book, 37 years old is still the pinnacle of appearance. Moreover, the mature temperament at this age will also make them become sisters who will be jealous of anyone who looks at them. Therefore, 18 years old is the best age for the 4 daughters of Robin. After learning that Khan helped them improve their strength, they used Devil Fruit's ability to increase their biological age. Robin's 4 daughters are full of expectations for their 18-year-old appearance. Next, Khan and his gang started a journey to find people capable of sucking the blood that Kaido has been sucking for 20 years without being drained dry. Wano Kuni is clearly a large island. On this island, there are 6 cities, namely, Jiuli, Zime, Tuan, Linghao, Baiwu, and the capital of Wano Kuni, the capital of flowers. These 6 major cities have many small towns and villages in their subordinate areas. If you don't know the appearance and information of ninja, but only know that there is such a person, somewhere in Wano Kuni, it will take a lot of time to find Nin on this large island, even for Khan and Hancock, who have unique perceptions. Fortunately, Khan is a time traveler, he knows the current location of Eren. The death of Kazuki Oden, as well as the time when Momonosuke traveled through, were all things last year. When Kazuki Oden led the Red Sheath 9 to defeat Kaido, Eren also joined the battle. But in the end, after Kazuki Oden and the Red Sheath 9 heroes were defeated, because Kazuki Oden pretended not to know Eren escaped and was not taken into prison. After Kazuki Oden's death, Ren and the Red Sheath 9 heroes fled to the Jiuli area together. Kuri is the stronghold of the Kazuki family, and Oden Castle is in this area. Xiaoyu, who ate the fruit of Paramecia dumpling 2 years after the original book, lives in the Kasa village, which is also in the Kuri area. Therefore, Khan does not need to go to the other 5 areas, but only needs to search through the Jiuli area to find Eren, who is hiding somewhere. As for where the Jiuli area is, Khan doesn't know. However, this problem is not difficult for Khan, who has a natural observation haki. Bringing Robin's 4 daughters to a crowded town, Khan just pretended to accidentally hit a pedestrian, controlling the proper force, and was about to knock the pedestrian to the ground. Then Khan supported this person in time, and the natural observation haki instantly read the other person's memory, and soon knew the location of the Jiuli area. What surprised Khan even more is that their current location is actually in the Jiuli area of Wano Kuni, a small town called Bola Town. Since Khan was accompanied by 4 delicate and lovely girls, and her temperament was like the offspring of the old man, the pedestrian who was almost knocked down did not dare to get angry at all, and left in a hurry. The 4 daughters of Robin saw all this scene in their eyes. As a qualified maid, Robin felt puzzled, but did not ask. The same goes for Hancock and Sonia, who have gradually become qualified maids. Only Mary, who is 9 years old this year and has a lively personality, asked, "Master, is there anything special about that person?" As if he had expected Mary to ask this question, Khan threw the money bag that came along to Mary, and while walking towards the hotel in this small town, he said in a low voice, "Wano Kuni is a country that has been closed to the outside world for hundreds of years. If you don't accept outsiders here, if you don't join the world government, it's no different from Sky Island at an altitude of 10,000 meters. The currency here is also different from Bailey in the outside world." I see. Hearing the last sentence, the 4 daughters of Robin were suddenly taken aback. Mary, who was about to open the purse, glanced at the pedestrians around her, and immediately put the purse into her pocket. On the way, Khan also gave Robin 4 daughters and popularized Wano Kuni currency. Like Sky Island's Ike, Wanakuna's currency is not Pele, but platinum and silver. Among them, platinum is the most valuable, then gold, and then silver. In the later Sea Circle calendar 1522, Wano Kuni, who had been sucked by Kaido for 20 years, had become very poor. A platinum can build a house. And 5 silver, can't let the family spend a week, but can spend a few days. But in this period of time, platinum and gold and silver are obviously not as valuable as later generations. Therefore, when Khan and his group came to the hotel, they had no suite and could only open one room, and they would spend 10 silver a day. Had it not been for the passerby's purse, Khan and his gang would have needed to pay in gold. Since the grandine was not brought here, the smallest piece of gold in Mary's body was a gold brick. If it is taken out, it will definitely cause a lot of commotion, and it may also affect their subsequent actions. After opening a temporary shelter, Khan began to search for ninja in the Guri area. Knowing their location, just after Bola town in the Giuli area, Khan even released his natural observation haki with all his strength, and his perception instantly enveloped the entire Giuli. Immediately, Khan began to select the strongest batch from the huge number of auras. More than an hour later, Khan, who was sitting on the tatami in the hotel room, opened his red eyes and raised his mouth slightly. I found it. Kazuki Odin and Kazuki died at the time, and the Red Sheath 9 had 4 more people to accompany Momonosuke to cross. The remaining Red Sheath 9 are scattered in other areas of Wano-kuni. As a group of people whose strength ranks below the Red Sheath 9 heroes, Ren's aura is as vivid as a firefly at night in the Giuli area. If it weren't for this area, there are many swordsmen who understand Jongong and Haki. Khan only needs to open his perception, and he can immediately find the location of Eren. Even so, it took Khan just over an hour to find Eren from the group of strongest auras. Now Eren is not a 49-year-old short, fat and ugly girl in later generations, but a 30-year-old, slender and hot lady in a ninja costume. For pleasing beauties, Khan can't forget just one look. His natural observation haki is also a beauty sensor. After finding Eren, Khan immediately got up and took Robin's 4 daughters out of the hotel, heading towards the place where Eren was hiding. Since he had just been separated from his companion for less than a year and is still in a state of confusion, Eren, who was waiting for his companion to return in the future, chose to live in seclusion in the bamboo forest not far from the burned Odin castle. She lives alone in that bamboo forest now. Before she realized that she couldn't wait in vain and had to do something, Ren would not leave that bamboo forest for a long time. Such a remote location makes Khan's next actions very convenient. Eren didn't know that a group of outsiders were eyeing her. At this time, she was in a state of extreme confusion. Every day in the bamboo forest, living a life of seclusion. Or go out of the bamboo forest, look at the burnt Odin castle from a distance, and think about people when you see things. At the beginning, she recalled the beautiful scenes of Lord Odin and Mrs. Shi every day, as well as the 9 heroes of the Red Sheath. And now, she doesn't know what to do other than wait for her companions to return in the future. It may be because of this kind of muddleheadedness and failure to find the direction of progress and the goal of hard work that made Eren experience a life of self-defeating during the long 20-year wait, so that his weight would skyrocket, and finally he would become a short, fat old man. Women, I can't lose weight anymore. Today, Eren was in a daze as always. So much so that she didn't realize that a group of outsiders broke into the bamboo forest where she lived alone. Ninja, right? By the time Ren discovered these outsiders, Khan and his gang had already come behind her. Swish. Awakened by the sound, Nin's face changed drastically, and he subconsciously pulled out the samurai sword he was carrying, and turned to look at the person behind him. You. Who are you? Eren thought it was someone from Kurozumi Orochi, who had already found herself and came to arrest her. But when he saw the voices were 5 teenagers who looked like minors, Ren couldn't help being slightly taken aback. Then he asked half vigilantly and half doubtfully. Don't be nervous, we have no malicious intentions. Khan smiled and said the words he had already prepared. We are people from overseas. We are here to find you. We are helping Yizang to send you something. By the way, I would like to ask you to do me a favor. Master Yizang. Hearing this very familiar name, Ren's beautiful eyes lit up immediately, and he looked at Khan excitedly and asked, You are friends with Master Izo? Has Master Izo left Wano-kuni? What? Khan nodded and said with a smile, Izo joined the Whitebeard Pirates. Do you know this pirates? That's the pirate group that Odin-sama once stayed in. I heard Mrs. Shi say it. Annan nodded again and again, no longer doubting Khan's identity. And her emission, from Khan's body, did not perceive any hostility, but was full of kindness. As everyone knows, Khan is actually full of affection for pleasing beauties. If Eren is the short, fat woman 19 years later, the smile on Khan's face would be a hypocritical smile. By the way, Wanakuna's haki to the outside world is called emission. Whether it is observation hockey, armament hockey, or the advanced use of two-color hockey, they are collectively called emission. Correct. Immediately, Ah Ren seemed to have thought of something, looked at Khan suspiciously, and asked, Master Yizang asked you to send something back. What do you want me to do for you? Yizang, please, bring you back good news and a little gift. Khan said slowly. The good news is that during the war last year, Hisong, one of the 9 heroes of the Red Sheath, rescued your Princess Rihei and escaped by water. It's called Shao Zi. Yizang asked me to tell you, if you feel confused now, you can go to the capital of flowers to find Princess Rihei, whose alias is Shaozi, and protect her silently in secret. As for presents. After a slight pause, Khan said to Mary next to him under the gaze of Aaron, who was crying with joy. Mary, take out that gift. Yes, master. On the way here, Mary, who had already learned part of the plan from Khan, nodded obediently. Then Mary opened a small door on her body, and took out a piece of gold the size of a fingernail from the treasure curry of the castle. When the gold passed through the transparent membrane and the transparent white mask covering the whole body disappeared, the volume immediately changed from the size of a fingernail to a large gold nugget half the size of Mary. This is. Seeing Mary, who used a special ninjutsu to conjure a huge piece of gold, was still immersed in ecstasy, but Aaron, who finally found the direction and goal, was suddenly dumbfounded. Don't be surprised, this is the power of devil fruit. Taking Aaron's expression into his eyes, Khan explained with a smile. There is a special fruit in this world. After eating it, you will get magical abilities, but it will turn into a landlubber. This is why we came to ask you for help. Reason. I see. Ah Ren seemed to recall something. Wei Wei suddenly said, is my lady coquettish technique because I ate that fruit back then? And many more. Ah Ren also came to his senses, looked at the extremely young Khan and his group, and said, you want me to help you, is it to help you ripen your biological age? Yes. Khan nodded and said, my maids are too young, and their physical strength is very limited, so after I learned about your abilities from Yizang, I brought them here specially to ask you help them ripen. No problem. How old do you want to ripen? For such a trivial matter, I have completely believed that Khan's group is a friend of Master Zhang, and I readily agreed. But in the next second, Ah Ren seemed to think of something again, and quickly reminded, by the way, once my lady coquettish technique is used, it will never be reversed. So you are sacrificing your lifespan in exchange for your body's growth. You have to think about it carefully. We all know this already. Khan reached out and touched Mary's head, pulled her in front of him, and said to Aaron, please ripen them all until they are 18 years old. Okay, it's not convenient to use it here, come with me. Aaron didn't act immediately, but looked around, put away the samurai sword in his hand, and led Khan and his group to his home in the bamboo forest. Shinobi's house is very simple, even simpler than the house where Hitoru Tengayama, Kazuki Sukiyaki lived. It may be that Nin was worried that he would be found out by Kurozumi, so he built a simple bamboo house. When he came to the bamboo house, and Ren looked at Mary and asked, little sister, what's your name and how old are you? My name is Maggie and I am 9 years old. It is very clear that the master does not know Yi Zhang, and Mary, who has been lying the whole time, did not tell her real name. 9? I see. Aaron didn't use emission to perceive Mary's emotions all the time. After learning of Mary's age, she put her hand on Mary's body, displaying her ladylike coquettish skills. It may be that they are eager to repay Khan, or that Wanokuni, who was born in a very backward and inferior man, believes that it is only natural for retainers and maids to serve the Lord. When Aaron performed the lady coquettish technique, Khan did not avoid it. As a result, Khan witnessed the whole process of Mary growing up, feasting his eyes. Just like the ability of Jewelry Bonnie, who fell into the evil generation of later generations, Mary, who was originally petite and immature, began to grow in size at a speed visible to the naked eye. As the white mist like boiling water emitted, Mary's figure changed every second, and the small face full of baby fat gradually faded away. Tear up due to the swelling of her body, the kimono specially made for Mary when she came here also made the sound of cloth tearing unbearably. After Mary stopped growing, a beautiful girl with a height of 1.83 meters, a head of bright orange long hair, a slender and hot figure, and a lot of rags wrapped around her body suddenly appeared in the sight of Khan's group. Middle. This is Boa Marigold, who grew up to 18 years of age normally, overeating without choosing power, resulting in a seriously deformed figure, like a monster. It's so beautiful. Is this what Maggie looks like at 18? Looking at the completely changed Mary, Robin and Hancock looked forward to their 18-year-old appearance even more. While 9-year-old Mary is adorable, Robin and Hancock think they're even cuter. It's not narcissism, it's the truth. Since Mary, who was slightly less cute than them, turned into an 18-year-old girl, she was a beautiful girl. Then they must be super beautiful girls too. The only one who lacks self-confidence is Sonia, who is average-looking among the 3 Boya sisters and is still a big-headed baby. Sonia, who is obviously 1 year younger than Hancock, is 3 heads taller than Hancock, almost equal to Master's 1.85 meters. He had such an exaggerated figure at the age of 10, and at the age of 18, he must be a little giant. Master, I've grown up. What do I look like when I'm 18? When the white mist dissipated, Mary also felt that her body stopped growing. She first looked at her hands that had enlarged several times, and then glanced at her capital, which was no longer flat, but had become extremely rich. Then she looked at Khan, who no longer needed to look up, and was able to look at him at the same level. Suddenly, Mary threw herself at Khan with a face of joy, holding Khan's neck with both hands, and asked excitedly and expectantly. You look very beautiful now, which makes people very excited. Khan first gave a sigh of admiration from the bottom of his heart, then put his hands on Mary's fragrant shoulders, pushed her away gently, looked at Mary who was covered in rags, and said with a smile, but now, go change the clothes first. Clothes. Use mine. At this time, after ripening Mary to the age of 18, Aaron walked into a room and came out with a few new ninja suits. Throwing one of them to Mary, Aaron said, This is a ninja uniform I ordered a few years ago and I haven't worn it yet. Let's just make it. Thanks. Mary took the ninja suit and thanked Annan sincerely. But rather than changing clothes, Mary wanted to see what she looked like now. Master, I'm going out to change clothes. So, Mary greeted Khan, trotted out of the bamboo house, and then her body turned into a huge castle tank, and the main body entered the castle. Before Mary came out, someone knocked on the door and spoke outside Castle Tank. Mary, who heard the voice, also pulled the outsiders in. And the person outside is the second boy of Sonia, who was ripened to 18 years old. At this time, Sonia had become a 2'5" little giant with long green hair. At the same time, her already ordinary appearance has become even more ordinary. But Sonia didn't feel inferior either. She majored in observation hockey in the original book, and she has a very calm mind. To be precise, she is very self-aware. She knew very well that she was not as beautiful and lovely as her elder sister and younger sister, so she never longed for Master's favor. She is still young, and she doesn't know the relationship between men and women. She just wants to grow up quickly and possess great strength to repay the Master for saving her life. And now, Sonia felt extremely excited. As an upgraded human, Sonia also has the advantage of an upgraded human. That is her physical ability, which is absolutely superior to her peers. With this advantage, after she cultivates hockey, her capacity will be larger than that of her peers. After Khan finds the devil fruit for Sonia, Sonia's strength will skyrocket. While the two sisters were changing their clothes, they were excitedly communicating. Inside the bamboo house, Khan feasted his eyes again, even his nose was a little hot. Because the third ripening person is the most beautiful woman in the world in the original book, Boa Hancock. Just like Robin, who suddenly changed from 28 to 18-year-old in the theatrical version after being hit by Ian's paramecia regression fruit. The 18-year-old Hancock looks exactly the same as the original 29-year-old. The height soared to 1.91 meters, 6 centimeters taller than Khan's 1.85 meters. With a body as flat as Mary's, she also achieved an amazing jump from 0 to J. The originally delicate and lovely facial features, after they grow, become extremely beautiful. The forehead is smooth and flat, the corners of the eyes are slender and delicate, the bridge of the nose is high, the nose is small, the lips are ruddy without any wrinkles. And fair skin and long legs. The only difference between Hancock at this time and his 29-year-old self in the original book is his temperament. In the original book, Hancock, who ate paramecia sweet fruit, has a charming temperament even if his face is expressionless. Anyone who looks at her will feel their heart beat faster. Once Hancock shows a shy look, those lustful guys will be like being shot by Cupid's arrow, their eyes will be red and their hearts will be red, and they will lose their minds. However, Hancock in this life has no charm at all, but more coldness that the original book does not have. When she opened those beautiful dark blue eyes, and a blue-white lightning flashed in Shingren's eyes, this coldness was more domineering. The current Hancock's temperament is more in line with the title of Empress than the original. Master, how do I look now? Hancock, who was also wrapped in rags and gave Khan a lot of benefits, did not feel the changes in his body immediately. Instead, he brushed his long black and smooth hair, smiled beautifully at Khan, and his voice changed. It is pleasing to the ear. The growth of biological age has also allowed Hancock's voice to complete the development. Beautiful, super pretty. Hearing this, Khan immediately gave a thumbs up and said from the bottom of his heart. How does it compare to Scarlet? Hancock asked. Prettier than her. Khan answered without the slightest hesitation, making Hancock's heart burst with joy. At this time, Hancock's appearance is indeed better than Scarlet. Because Scarlet, who is 16 years old this year, is still very immature. Moreover, she, who is weak, is now a vase, without the bonus points brought by Hancock's strength. The same as pride, Scarlet's pride comes from her status as a princess. And Hancock's pride is his confidence in his strength. Comparing the two, of course the latter is more confident. I'm going to change clothes. Hancock, who received a satisfactory answer from Khan, tore off the awkward rags on his body, revealing a large piece of holy light, and walked out of the bamboo house with the ninja suit under the gaze of Khan's wide-eyed eyes. Khan's gaze followed Hancock's footsteps. Master, your nosebleed is coming out. Wait until Hancock walks out of the bamboo hut and enters Mary's castle. A faint voice brought Khan back to his senses. Yes. Khan, who hadn't recovered completely, touched his nose subconsciously and found that there was no nosebleed. Looking sideways, I saw Robin looking at him expressionlessly. That indifferent look is just like Ai Hayasaka in Miss Kaguya, wearing a maid's vest. He is clearly the master, but at this moment, Khan rarely dared to look directly into Robin's beautiful eyes. This shows how sharp Robin's eyes are now. Ahem. It's your turn, Nicole. Khan coughed lightly, then gave Robin a thumbs up, grinned and said, Go. I'm looking forward to your 18-year-old appearance. You must be more beautiful than Boya. Since Hancock entered the castle tank, she was in a different dimension and couldn't hear Khan's words at all. Khan no longer hides his scumbag nature, humph. Hearing Khan's hypocritical words, Robin couldn't help snorting. But still let him go. Coming to Aaron, Robin said very politely. My name is Nicole. I am 11 years old, Miss Aaron, please excuse me. You are welcome. Looking at Robin, who is the most polite among the four maids, Nin was taken aback for a moment, then showed a beautiful smile, put his hand on Robin's body, and performed the mature woman coquettish technique again. Tear up as the white mist symbolizing ripening emanated, Robin's body began to grow in size at a speed visible to the naked eye, just like the three Boya sisters. The specially made kimono on her body immediately burst into pieces. Soon, a beautiful woman covered in rags appeared in front of Khan's eyes. Her height soared to 1.88 meters, becoming the second maid whose height is higher than Khan. The figure is also the same as Mary and Hancock, achieving an amazing jump from 0 to J. He has long straight black hair like Hancock, exquisite facial features, beautiful face, and fair skin like snow. The temperament is different from Hancock's coldness and overbearing, but mature and gentle that does not match the age. This is 18-year-old Nico Robin. By the way, Robin's complexion in the original book is not wheat-colored, but fair complexion from beginning to end. Is this the body of 18 years old? After feeling that his body had stopped growing, Robin, who had his eyes closed and exuded a white mist, slowly opened his blue-black beautiful eyes, looked at the hands that had enlarged several times, and made a strange and pleasant voice from his mouth. I saw the corners of Robin's lips slightly raised, and he said to himself, the current body should be easy to practice the 6 poses, right? Immediately, Robin looked at Khan, smiled softly and said, Master, how do I look now? Super beautiful, even more beautiful than Boya. Khan gave the thumbs up again, sticking to his answer while Hancock wasn't here. Allah Allah. Robin covered his lips with a smile, rolled his eyes at Khan and said, I don't dislike Master's hypocrisy. After speaking, Robin didn't know if he was deliberately comparing with Hancock. Just like Hancock, she tore off the rags on her body casually, and under Khan's eyes widened again, she picked up Aaron's ninja suit and walked out of the bamboo house with a dazzling holy light. Hiss. His eyes followed Robin's footsteps, and when Robin walked out of the bamboo house, his breath disappeared, obviously after entering a different space. Khan couldn't help but gasped, rubbed his hot nose, and whispered, Is it so exciting? Master, thank you for the information you brought. At this moment, Aaron's voice suddenly brought Khan back to his senses. I saw the slender and hot ninja made a gesture of Dagiza to Khan, and thanked him sincerely. Because of Robin's 4 daughters, they all call Khan Master. Living in the backward Wano Kuni, ninja with average culture thought that Khan's name was Master. Ahem. You're welcome. Khan, who found himself ashamed again, couldn't help coughing lightly, looked at Aaron who was in the seat of the soil, and said, also, my name is not Master, but Carl. Khan also did not reveal his real name. Thank you very much, Mr. Carl. Hearing this, Aaron put his forehead on the floor again and said loudly, you are welcome. In case Nin would be endless, Khan suddenly changed the subject, with a look of anticipation in his eyes. Nin, I am 15 years old, please ripen me to 18. Yes. Ren nodded, then got up and walked in front of Khan, and put his hand on Khan's body just like he did with the 4 daughters of Robin. However, just after she used the mature woman coquettish technique again, Ren's face changed suddenly. Looking at Khan, it was like looking at a monster. How is it possible? What's wrong? Looking at Ninja with a hellish expression, Khan's natural observation Haki already knew the answer. But on his surface, he deliberately looked at Aaron with doubts. Gulu. At this time, Ren's smooth forehead and beautiful cheeks were covered with exhausted sweat. She swallowed hard, looked at Khan and asked in a trembling voice, Mr. Carl, what's going on with your body? Why was my energy sucked up by you in an instant when I just used the fruit ability? Did it fail? Khan understood for a while, and asked in a cooperative manner. Aaron nodded and explained. Once my mature woman coquettish technique is used on people and things, it will consume a certain amount of physical energy. How many years of ripening will consume the corresponding physical energy? Just now, I helped your 4 maids, Lord Carl, ripen their biological age to 18, which consumed nearly half of my energy. But helping you, Sir Carl, to ripen your biological age, drained all of my physical energy in an instant, and it didn't work at all. How powerful is your body? If it weren't for the fear that his words would be impolite, Aaron's last sentence was actually to ask, what kind of monster are you? I see. Khan nodded suddenly, feeling slightly regretful. It seems that he can't exploit this loophole. Yes, Khan came to Wano Kuni this time, in addition to wanting to help Robin's 4 daughters to open the age link, but also to see if the ability of Paramisha ripe fruit will work for him, and whether he can also help himself open an age link. If he can also hang on to his age, he can take advantage of the loophole and directly reduce his efforts for a few years. But unfortunately, the ability of Paramisha ripe fruit cannot take effect on Khan. Because Khan's body is too strong. Paramisha ripe fruit can ripen people and things, and the effect can never be reversed. There is no doubt that Paramisha ripe fruit is also a kind of regular class. The rule-based ability is the most unsolvable and disgusting category in Paramisha. As far as Khan currently knows, there are only 2 methods that can resist rule-based abilities. One is Haki, which is like a panacea. As long as Haki is strong enough, it can resist and ignore rule-type abilities. The second is that attributes are mutually exclusive. There is no perfect devil fruit in this world. Any devil fruit will have the existence to restrain it. This is true even for the unique Nika fruit. Rubber is not afraid of blows and guns, but it is afraid of sharp things. Similarly, every rule-type ability also has the ability and people to restrain it. The most classic example is Perona's Paramisha ghost fruit can instantly kill the strong-willed Luffy and Zoro, but it has no effect on Usopp, who has always been very negative. Even a strong man who has experienced many battles will instantly become negative if he is touched by a negative ghost. But people who are inherently negative are able to ignore the ghosts of negativity. Similarly, Khan's body can ignore the existence of Paramisha ripe fruit. Not only Paramisha ripe fruit, but also many abilities will be ignored by Khan's body. Because his physical fitness is so strong that he has various resistances and characteristics. Then these resistances and characteristics are amplified to the greatest extent by Zone Dragon Fruit Phantom Beast Dragon form. Just like Margaret said, it is also eating phantom beasts, but it takes a long time for him to grow. As soon as Khan ate the phantom beast, he could immediately transform into a full body. Khan, who has the physique of a natural destroyer, is a huge improvement every year he grows up. I want to make a monster whose physical strength itself is as vast as the sea becomes stronger. Unless it is Charlotte Linlin, or the giants eat the ripe fruit of Paramisha, it will have little effect on Khan. Otherwise, whoever eats the ripe fruit of Paramisha will not be able to ripen Khan. Closer to home. Although I feel a little regretful that I can't hang on to my age. But Khan quickly calmed down, looked at Aaron with a smile and said, I'm sorry to trouble you this time, Miss Aaron. No, I'm fine. Ren quickly waved his hand and said gratefully, Compared with the information and gifts you brought, I just consumed a little physical energy, which is not worth mentioning at all, and I have not been able to help you mature your body, Mr. Carl. Anyway, thank you very much. I may come to you, ninja, for help in the future. I hope you don't mind then. No, you can come to me at any time. Ren once again waved his hand. After a few simple polite words, Khan suddenly sensed several auras outside. So, he nodded politely to Eren, and said, "The gold outside, I hope you can melt it yourself, or find someone trustworthy." "I see." Shinobu, who understood Khan's meaning, also nodded with a serious face. "Master, we have changed our clothes." At this moment, 4 girls in ninja costumes came in from outside. Then Khan only felt a slight sinking on his back, and there was an inexplicable elasticity faintly. A pair of slender jade-like arms stretched out from behind, hugged Khan's neck, and pressed his head on a certain stalwart ground. I saw Hancock hugging Khan from behind, taking advantage of his height, and said with a smile, "I've been dreaming about such a scene for a long time, and today it finally came true. Master, you have to be like us in the future, drink milk obediently every day, and grow taller." Peeved. Ha ha ha. Hearing this, Robin's 3 daughters couldn't hold back, and suddenly burst out laughing. Robin and Sonia were more ladylike, they just covered their lips and snickered. And Mary didn't care about her own image anymore, and burst out laughing directly. Khan, who was still enjoying the world's most beautiful pillow and was full of a sense of accomplishment, suddenly had a row of black lines on his forehead. Inexplicably, he regretted letting Robin's 4 daughters ripen until they were 18. Khan should have let them all ripen until they were 16. As a result, his height is at best not as good as Sonia, at worst he is on par with Hancock, and definitely taller than Robin and Mary. But now, Khan, who is 1.85 meters tall, is only 2 centimeters taller than Mary, almost becoming the shortest existence in the team. Even more frustrating is that he won't be able to perform head-to-head kills on Robin, Hancock, and Mary in the future. Fortunately, Khan is only 15 years old now, and his height will skyrocket, while the heights of Hancock and Robin have basically been fixed. Then, let's take our leave. Please go slowly, Lord Carl. After Robin's 4 daughters came out, Khan also bid farewell to Eren. Under the respect of Eren, Khan and his group left the bamboo forest. When I came here, Khan's group consisted of 2 big and 3 small ones. The 2 are Khan and Sonia, and the 3 are Robin, Hancock and Mary. When they left, they were 1 big and 4 small. This big one is Sonia, who is 2.5 meters tall. The 4th is the Khan 4. Among them, because they were 18 years old, the clogs no longer fit well, and Hancock and Robin, who put on Sonia's high heels from the castle, looked a little taller than Khan. Even Mary, who is 2 centimeters shorter than Khan, is a few centimeters taller than Khan after putting on high heels. In other words, in this combination, Khan is already the shortest existence. For this reason, Hancock and Mary, and even Robin, wanted to reach out and touch Khan's head several times. However, just as they stretched out their small hands, the backs of their hands suddenly felt a slight pain. Khan, who is born with observation haki, sees all their inner thoughts, and does not give them any chance to show their heads. The 3 daughters of Hancock could only cover their little hands and looked at Khan with resentful eyes. Not only did Khan show no pity at all, but he also warned, "If anyone dares to reach out again, I will take off her pants and spank her ass." Hearing this, the 3 daughters of Hancock were frightened immediately. Especially Robin and Hancock, they are not the little girls just now. If Khan stripped down her pants and spanked her ass in front of Sonia and Mary, it would really lose the dignity of a sister. So, the 3 daughters of Hancock immediately dismissed the idea of killing the master by touching their heads. At the same time, Robin also felt dumbfounded about Khan's machismo. Seriously, the master cares too much about saving face. But it's also right to think about it. If she didn't have such strong machismo, her master wouldn't be a hopeless maid fetish. Closer to home. After leaving the bamboo forest, Khan's group did not leave Wano-kuni immediately, nor did they return to Bola town. Khan took the 4 daughters of Robin to the area where Casa village is located, planning to spend some time looking for the paramecia fruit that was eaten by Xiao Yu in the original book. Paramecia duanzi fruit is one of the top fruits of paramecia. The person with the ability of this fruit can produce edible glutinous rice dumplings by consuming physical energy. All animals that eat glutinous rice dumplings, no matter how fierce they are, will become docile and obedient, and regard the person with the ability to eat dumplings as their masters. Even if the master ordered them to die, they would scramble to commit suicide. This kind of glutinous rice dumpling will also have an effect on the artificial demon fruit power of later generations. If it weren't for the validity period of the glutinous rice dumpling's ability, it would only be valid for 1 month. Paramecia duanzi fruit will definitely be one of the most incomprehensible paramecia, and can even compete with paramecia shock fruit for the title of the strongest paramecia. Because the validity period is unlimited, then this devil fruit is equivalent to Poseidon in devil fruit. Just imagine. Tame a small sea beast with dumpling fruit, then let the sea beast hold a bag of glutinous rice balls in its mouth, and send it to the mouth of sea kings, then you can directly tame a sea kings, and so on. As long as sea beasts are sent into the windless zone with glutinous rice dumplings in their mouths, it will not take a few years for the sea kings in the windless zone to forget Poseidon, and will only recognize paramecia dumpling fruit ability as the master. What kind of terrifying scene will it be when paramecia duanzi fruit ability user mobilizes all sea kings? If you didn't know, you would think that Poseidon, one of the 3 ancient weapons, appeared in the world. Therefore, even though the mochi is only valid for 1 month, this is the top paramecia devil fruit. After all, in a month's time, for a strong man like Khan, he can already do a lot of things. In 1522, Xiao Yu was only 8 years old. In other words, when she was born, it was C-circle calendar 1514. Knowing that paramecia dango fruit is probably hidden somewhere in the Guri area, Khan has no time to wait for Tama to be born and grow up. Therefore, he was going to spend some time searching the entire Giuli area, looking for the paramecia dango fruit. If you find it, you don't need to wait another 10 years. If you don't find it, it means that this devil fruit is destined to have a relationship with Xiao Yu and has not been reborn in Wanokuni yet. Khan is going to start looking for Casa village. If you can't find paramecia dango fruit in this area, then there is even less hope of finding paramecia dango fruit in other places in the Guri area. Hancock, how much has your strength improved? On the way to Casa village, Khan looked at the tall Hancock and suddenly asked. Do not know. Hancock shook his head first, then a confident smile appeared on his beautiful cheeks and said, but now I feel like I can do anything. After finishing speaking, Hancock's beautiful dark blue eyes stared at Khan closely again. Master, don't do everything by yourself in the future, just order me as much as you want. 12-year-old Hancock with limited physical ability is so confident and proud. Hancock, now 18, could only be more arrogant than his original self. In the original Hancock, her arrogance is actually a manifestation of lack of self-confidence. Because she had been a slave, in order to cover up her inferiority complex, she put on the mask of a tyrant. And now, Hancock's arrogance is pure, because she has the capital of arrogance. I haven't seen the highest peak in the world yet, and I haven't fought against superpowers, and I don't know that Conqueror's Hockey has a higher level of use. Now Hancock only feels that he is the second in the world. As for the number 1 in the world, of course it is her master. Khan didn't dampen Hancock's confidence either. Such self-confidence and arrogance can help Hancock's hockey progress rapidly. As long as she is not as glass-hearted as Gecko Moria, after being beaten once, the heart and courage of the strong will be shattered, and hockey's power will be lost. When Hancock recognizes that there is someone beyond the human world, there is a sky beyond the sky, and after passing this hurdle, her will change again, and hockey will go to a higher level. Therefore, Khan is happy to see such a change in Hancock. I saw Khan nodded with a smile, and said, then I will trouble you to help me share the pressure, Hancock. Aha. Arriving at the area where Casa village is located, Khan and his group did not enter the village, but, like Aaron, temporarily lived in a bamboo forest that can be seen everywhere in the Giuli area. Mary can turn into a castle tank, and they can enter the castle anytime they want to rest. On the way, Khan also told the 4 daughters Robin that there might be a top devil fruit hidden in the Giuli area. The 4 daughters of Robin are not surprised why Khan knows this. Even in Wanokuni, which is closed to the outside world, there is a paramecia ripe fruit ability user who knows that Khan's perception range must be amazing, and it is still open 24 hours a day. Not only that, Khan must also often use Ishin as a secondary use. After entering a crowded place, he will eavesdrop on various conversations very seriously, collecting all information that is beneficial to him or that may be used in the future. Hancock, who was still young and physically fit, could not be used as an Ishin like Khan, made a decision in his heart. After she is fully familiar with this new body, she will also be like the master, who will turn on her unique perception 24 hours a day. Ishin will use it to eavesdrop on the conversations of the crowd and collect all useful information. As everyone knows, the reason why Khan knows so much is not through eavesdropping and reading people's hearts at all, but because of the advantages of the traversers. After choosing the bamboo forest as a place to live temporarily, Khan and his group came to an open space near the sea and started to work on their own. Mary took out a gorgeous one-seater sofa from the castle, and Khan sat on it, closed his eyes and released his unique perception with all his strength, and focused on finding the paramecia dango fruit. And Robin's 4 daughters are beginning to get acquainted with 18-year-old bodies. From a petite dwarf to a tall long-legged one suddenly, the 4 Robin girls who have not mastered the return of life will need a certain amount of time to fully grasp this new body and exert their full strength. In the process of getting acquainted with the new body, Hancock also showed the strength that made Robin's 3 daughters dumbfounded, and even Khan opened his eyes to look at it. Zzz. At this time, Hancock was shining with blue and white electric light all over his body. Especially on her small hand, the size and color of the electric snake are both thicker and deeper than the lightning that surrounds her body. Even around Hancock's little hand, the air seemed to ripple. It can be seen from this that Hancock's small hands are exuding amazing electric heat at this time. And those electric snakes are all high-voltage electricity. 100 million volts. 120 million volts. 150 million volts. Hancock constantly consumes physical energy, which is transformed into lightning and electric heat. The fusion of the two forms high-voltage electricity, and the voltage soars at a rate of tens of millions of volts per second. Previously, the electric current that was fully consumed by physical energy conversion had never been able to break through 100 million volts. And now, the current produced by Hancock starts at 100 million volts. And in just a few seconds, it was approaching 200 million volts. 200 million volts. 210 million volts. 220 million volts. Then, in just a dozen seconds, the current volts in Hancock's hand exceeded the 200 million volts that the 37-year-old Enel was the strongest, and it continued to soar. However, after breaking through 200 million volts, Hancock's smooth forehead and beautiful cheeks also gradually burst into fragrant sweat. Obviously, after breaking through 200 million volts, she already felt very strenuous. At 100 million volts, Hancock can increase the voltage by 10 million volts per second. But now, every time she raises 10 million volts, it takes more than 10 seconds. 280 million volts, 290 million volts, 300 million volts. 2 minutes later, Hancock still managed to make his current volts break through another stage, reaching the level of 300 million. Although the current volts reached 300 million, 100 million more than Enel's 200 million. But the electric current in Hancock's hand is still blue and white. At the same time, 300 million volts, this figure seems very scary. But the voltage of natural lightning is 100 million to 1 billion volts. As the most powerful thunderfruit in Logia, the current volts it can produce naturally cannot reach a maximum of 200 million volts. Enel's current volts can only reach a maximum of 200 million, because he ate the Logia thunderfruit too late, and his constitution is too weak. Over the past 2 decades, he was unable to develop normally due to being bullied. Enel's physique, even at the golden age of 37, can't beat Luffy who has not started second gear. Even though he has the only observation haki, he can't awaken another haki even at the age of 37. In contrast, Hancock is different. Although she looks like an ordinary person, as a genius who mastered 2-color haki at the age of 12, Hancock's physique is not so ordinary. In the theatrical version, Hancock's physical skills are so strong that after wrapping around armament haki, he can break a mountain with one kick. It's like Rayleigh is obviously just an ordinary person, but at the age of 78, he is still strong enough to swim from Sabody archipelago to Daughter Island in the windless zone. Hancock is also such an ordinary person, her physical ability is also not comparable to that of Enel. This can be seen from the fact that Hancock was able to produce tens of millions of volts of current when he was 12 years old. However, now 18 years old, Hancock, who can raise the voltage of the current to 300 million volts, is not satisfied with his performance. She has a vague feeling that as long as her lightning breaks through another stage, it will usher in a huge qualitative change. But it is a pity that even if Hancock converts all his physical energy into lightning, only the amount of current becomes larger and the coverage area becomes wider. As for the voltage, it is still only 300 million volts, and it can no longer be increased. Born observation haki sees Hancock's inner thoughts, as well as regrets and unwillingness, and Khan's ruby-like eyes are thoughtful. He may have a way to help Hancock break through this bottleneck. And more than one way. In the original book, Enel, who has the only observation hockey that can increase the voltage of lightning to 200 million volts, will have a bounty of more than 500 million Baileys if he is wanted in Qinghai. In other words, Enel, who has the only observation hockey and 200 million volts of thunderfruit, will be the top cadre of the Four Emperors pirate group like Pottercast d'Ace even in the strongest sea of New World 1. So, what is the current strength of Hancock, who owns the only observation hockey, armament hockey, and 300 million volt thunderfruit? There is no doubt that the guarantees are the top cadres who started with a reward of 500 million. Even Khan can be sure that Jack, known as the Ship King, with a bounty of 1 billion in the original book and 900 million ivory, is far inferior to Hancock. In other words, Hancock's current strength is also the top cadre at the billion-dollar level. But it is only the top cadres. There is still a short distance from the Queen's vice, Hancock. Observation hockey, the only file, is definitely not as good as Charlotte Katakori's predicting the future in terms of prediction. And the lightning strike of 300 million volts is not a fatal threat to Katakori, who has mastered Fruit Awakening, Margot, who has the immortal green flame, and Jin, who has the physical fitness of the Lunaria tribe. Not to mention, apart from these whole cards, armament hockey and combat experience are much stronger than the current Hancock. Even these three emperors are inferior, let alone Ben Beckman, who is said to have the strength of the captain. Although he has not yet reached the level of the emperor's deputy, Hancock's current strength has already made Khan very satisfied. Because Hancock can't beat the mate, and the mate can't beat her. After all, Logia Thunderfruit has Katakori's special Paramecia, Margau's Phantom Beast, and Jin's Ancient Species, which are far inferior to their advantages. That's speed. To be precise, teleportation. The volts of thunder and lightning have soared to 300 million, and Hancock's current electric field must be many times stronger than when he was 12 years old. As long as the electric field is opened, Hancock can move at lightning speed, ignoring all obstacles in the electric field. And the electric field is an invisible field. Even if it is the Paramecia barrier fruit, it can't stop Hancock's teleportation. The strength has reached the highest level of cadres, and the teleportation is more convenient than sparkling fruit. Hancock is just like Kizaru. Facing people weaker than himself, he is like a big devil. In the face of someone stronger than yourself, you can stand invincible even if you can't beat them. After awakening Conqueror's hockey, mastering the advanced use of two-color hockey, and even mastering Conqueror's hockey winding like Yamato, Hancock is Ben Beckman next to Khan, and even Pluton Rayleigh. Just like Hancock said, as long as he doesn't meet those overlords standing on the highest peaks in the world, Hancock can do anything now. Khan can indeed let her help him share the pressure. Relying on the advantages of the Traversers, after making a simple judgment on Hancock's strength, Khan closed his eyes again with a smile on his face, and continued to search for the Paramecia Dango fruit. While Khan continued to search for the fruit of Paramecia, the three daughters of Robin were also familiar with their new bodies. It's just that unlike Hancock, whose strength has been turned upside down, the improvement of Robin's three daughters from 9, 10, 11 to 18 years old has not been so obvious. If the strength of this world is digitized, the maximum level is 100. Then master two-color hockey at the age of 12, and Hancock of Logia Thunderfruit, her level is 40 or 50. After she was 18 years old, her level had skyrocketed to at least 70 levels, and she had completed dozens of jumps. As long as Thunderfruit goes a step further and masters the advanced use of Conqueror's hockey, she will be at level 80 or 90, one of the superpowers standing on the highest peak in the world. As for the two girls, Sonia and Robin, if they were at level 10 and level 15 before, they are only at level 20 or 30 now. Yes, when they were 18, they couldn't beat 12-year-old Hancock. Only Mary is an exception. Mary, who is a Paramecia strong city fruit ability user, can turn into an 80-meter high castle. Khan, who is only 15 years old this year, usually needs 2 or 3 punches to destroy. In the case of Hancock, at least several 300 million volt lightning strikes are needed to destroy the castle. Certainly. Although the current strength of Robin's three daughters has not improved much. But in the next few years, their strength will usher in a skyrocketing rise. Because the age of 18 to 28 is the best growth period. At this age, Robin's three daughters practice hockey in 6 styles, which is the same as opening the acceleration hang. It won't take a few years for Robin to become a superwoman stronger than the original Khalifa, and the kind who has mastered the two-color hockey. Not to mention Mary, she will be the mobile warehouse and meat shield in the family. And Sonia is one of the giants Khan booked. The biggest beneficiary of this trip to Wano Kuni is undoubtedly Hancock. Not only has her strength ushered in an earth-shaking change, but she has also become a peerless beauty whose appearance is even better than Scarlet. Followed by Robin's 3 daughters. Only Khan suffered a huge loss. Not only did he almost become the shortest in the group, but he was also unable to pat the maids. What's even more irritating is that they also want to perform head-to-head killing on themselves. Fortunately, the mother of the world still loves Khan. A week later, after rummaging through the area where the bamboo mat village is located, Khan finally found a devil fruit with a special spiral pattern in a gap covered by flowers and plants in a valley below a waterfall. This devil fruit is the Paramecia dumpling fruit that Xiao Yu ate in the original book. As for why Khan is so sure, this devil fruit is the fruit of Paramecia. Very simple. Because Khan really read Devil Fruit illustrated book from other people's memory. After finding the Paramecia danzi fruit, Khan finally had some psychological comfort. I still have some gains. After a long distance, he wrapped the Paramecia dango fruit with a mind shield and brought it back to him. Khan asked Mary to take out a treasure chest from the castle, put the Paramecia dango fruit in it, and put it back in the treasure house. Middle. Then Khan radiated blue telekinetic waves all over his body, and used the telekinetic power to lift up the 4 daughters of Robin who had become familiar with their new bodies in this week, and flew away from Wano-kuni. This trip to Wano-kuni, Khan and his team can be said to be full of rewards. You're Robin. A few days later, when Khan's gang returned to the flower fields in Dressrosa, Scarlet, who rushed over after receiving the news, suddenly became dumbfounded. She opened her red lips and pointed at Robin, who was tall and 17 centimeters taller than her. Her beautiful cheeks were full of disbelief. Allah Allah. Robin, who hides a black belly in his heart, seemed very satisfied with Scarlet's reaction, and couldn't help but greeted her with a smile. Your Highness, hello. Let's get to know each other again. My name is Nico. Robin is the head maid of the master's life. Then you shouldn't be. When I saw this big beauty in front of me, she was really the queen of Robin who was petite a few days ago. Scarlet's gaze could not help but shift to Robin's side. She was better than Robin in appearance, figure and temperament, and also completely suppressed her peerless beauty. Suddenly, one of them appeared in her mind, except for being gentle and well-behaved in front of Khan. Even when facing her princess, she still has an arrogant face. As you can imagine, I am Boa Hancock. Hancock flicked the hair beside his ears, and put his other hand on the waist that he was grasping, with dark blue beautiful eyes. After carefully looking at the astonished Scarlet, his face showed a complacent smile. Sure enough, I am not as beautiful. Now she is the most beautiful girl in Master's heart. With her here, I don't have to worry about this vixen in the future, abducting their master and suddenly becoming their mistress. Hancock thought to himself. Then you are Mary and Sonia. After confirming the identities of these 2 big black-haired beauties, Scarlet looked at Mary and Sonia, who had different hair colors, and knew their identities without their self-introduction. Immediately, Scarlet looked at the only Khan who hadn't changed, and quickly asked, Khan, what's going on? In just over a week, the 4 petite little girls suddenly became adults. 3 of the little girls turned into tall beauties. If Khan hadn't changed in any way, Scarlet would have thought that she was on the way here, accidentally traveled through time and space, and came to the future a few years later. We went out this time and met a capable person outside. She is a mature person, who ate the ripe fruit of Paramecia. Khan half-truthfully explained. Paramecia ripe fruit, its ability can instantly ripen and age anything it touches. In addition, I also read in the Devil Fruit illustrated book. This fruit ability can also ripen children into adults, and ripen adults into old people. After some consideration, Robin and the others asked the demon fruit power to ripen their biological age to 18, which is what you see now. Hearing this, Scarlet exclaimed in amazement. In this world, there is such an incredible ability? Don't be surprised, there are many devil fruits similar to Paramecia ripe fruit. Khan slowly said. For example, Paramecia regression fruit, this demon fruit power, can reverse the age of all creatures that touch it by 12 years, and only need to touch it a few times, and that creature will disappear from this world. Unbelievable. Is this the secret treasure of the sea? Scarlet's worldview seemed to have been refreshed. The same is true for the 4 daughters of Robin. They didn't expect that besides Paramecia ripe fruit, there was also such a bug ability as Paramecia regression fruit. In fact, Khan also knew of an ability to transform human bodies into children and old people. That ability is the ability of Jewelry Bonnie of the later generation of evil. It's a pity that when Khan just crossed over, the final chapter had just begun, and Jewelry Bonnie's fruit ability had not yet been revealed. From the Devil Fruit illustrated book, he saw from the undercover brains, he couldn't find a devil fruit capable of matching Jewelry Bonnie. Either the Devil Fruit illustrated book that Khan has read is not detailed, or it is Jewelry Bonnie's devil fruit, which is an unknown devil fruit. However, Khan is more inclined. It should be that the Devil Fruit illustrated book he has read is not detailed. After all, those undercover agents who need to go out to do errands are not qualified to read the full version of Devil Fruit illustrated book. By the way, have you persuaded His Majesty King Liku to let you go to sea with us? Looking at Scarlet, who hadn't recovered from the shock, Khan asked, changing the subject. Hearing this, Scarlet immediately put everything behind her and said excitedly, "My father has promised to let me and Violet leave New World with you." "Very well, then you can go back and prepare with Violet." Knowing that Violet also followed, Khan was slightly happy. In this way, he can take the opportunity to improve Violet's favor, borrow her Paramecia Stare fruit, and start the next step ahead of schedule. So, Khan told Scarlet, "We will leave Dressrosa tomorrow. If you and Violet have something to take away, you can ask Mary to go to the palace and help you store it in the castle." I'll go back now and tell Violet the good news." Scarlet nodded repeatedly and was about to leave impatiently. Then, as if thinking of something, Scarlet paused slightly, turned around and came in front of Mary, held Mary's little hand, who was taller than her, and said with a smile, "Mary, you come back with me now. I have a lot of things to take away." "Let's go." "Yes, master." Seeing Mary looking over, Khan nodded. So, Mary just stepped off the Grandine with Scarlet and headed for the King's Heights. After the two girls left, Khan said to Robin again, "Robin, go to the Dongtada Kingdom and bring Manchueli here." "I see." Robin nodded slightly, stepped off the Grandine, and set off in the direction of Greenbit. "Sonia, go make a cup of black tea for the master." "Yes, sister." With Mary and Robin gone, Khan, Hancock and Sonia were left on the lawn deck. As a sister, let Sonia go into the cabin to make tea. Hancock sat next to Khan, under Khan's slightly vigilant gaze, stretched out his hands to hug Master's neck, and put his head on his world's most beautiful pillow. Then Hancock imitated Robin's movements, and while helping Khan press his head, he smiled and said, "Master, is there anything you want me to do?" "No need. You are the head maid of the battle, and now you need to improve your strength the most." Enjoying the massage of the world's most beautiful pillow and the world's most beautiful woman, Khan quickly relaxed his vigilance, closed his eyes and whispered, "There are higher-level applications of double-color hockey, and I haven't learned it yet, and I can't teach it. You. But Marine 6 styles, you have to master all of them as soon as possible, and then I will help you find the cultivation method for returning life. As long as you learn how to return your life, your control over your body will become more perfect. When your physical strength becomes stronger, Thunderbolt will naturally enter the next stage. So, your current hockey practice can be put aside for the time being, and you can mainly practice the 6 postures." "I see, master." Hancock nodded obediently at first, and then a sly smile suddenly appeared on his beautiful cheek. I saw her hands on Khan's temples suddenly shifted to the short blue hair, and rubbed vigorously. He. Finally succeeded, master's hair, it feels awesome. Khan. Woo. Master, stop hitting me, I was wrong. It hurts so much, so embarrassing. On the lawn deck of the Grandine, Sonia, who was boiling water to make tea, came out with a 3-piece tray containing a teapot, tea leaves, and teacups. She suppressed a smile and looked at her sister, who was pressed on her leg by Khan, and took off her pants and spanked her. At this time, Hancock covered his small face with his hands and kept begging for mercy. She never expected that Khan really did what he said. He just took the opportunity to perform head touch killing, and actually took off her pants and spanked her ass. And it was still in front of Sonia. This time, she really lost the majesty of a little sister. Next time, I'll spank your ass in front of Scarlet. A minute later, Khan finished lecturing Hancock, warning, nasty. Woo. I know I was wrong. Hancock lifted his pants with one hand, and covered his blushing face with the other hand, as if he didn't dare to see anyone. Swish. In the next second, Hancock turned into a flash of lightning and disappeared, returning to the room to reflect. And Khan didn't feel guilty at all, let alone comfort her. At the age of 18, not only has his strength ushered in an earth-shaking change, but his beauty and figure have also become the world's #1 Hancock, which is indeed a bit drifting. Even the majesty of the master dares to challenge. If he doesn't educate him, he will soon swell to the point where he doesn't look down on people other than Khan. And with Hancock's personality, if Khan gave her the privilege of killing the master by touching her head, it wouldn't take long for her to make further progress. Maybe she wanted to get rid of her maid status and become Robin's mistress. If she is really allowed to take over, Hancock will immediately become a jealous jar, and all women who are close to Khan will be regarded as enemies. This is not acceptable. Khan is not the type to give up an entire forest for just one tree. He is the man who will become the lord of the forest. The time came to the end of June of 1503 in the sea circle calendar. The terminus of the first half of the Grand Line, Sabody archipelago. On this day, a large number of bubbles suddenly appeared on the sea next to a small island in the Sabody archipelago. Then, like sea kings popping out, a 100-meter class medium-sized two-masted sailing ship, wrapped in a huge bubble, flew out of the sea. Snapped. As the huge bubble burst, the sailboat hit the sea heavily, causing a huge splash. Is this the world-renowned Sabody archipelago? It's so beautiful, and it's much bigger than the Fishman Island. On the ship's side on the deck, there stood a man and 6 women, to be precise, 1 man and 7 women. Because sitting on Robin's fragrant shoulders, if you don't look carefully, you might think it's a little human princess with a pendant. Looking at the Sabody archipelago, which is full of bubbles and looks more like a fantasy island than the Fishman Island, Scarlet and Violet, who are wearing a white princess dress, are full of expectations for the next trip to the Sabody archipelago. Before I knew it, it had been more than a month since Khan and his gang left Dressrosa. In order to win the favor of the 2 sisters Scarlet, Violet, and Shelley Mann, Khan was not in a hurry to return to the first half of the Grand Line and West Blue. Instead, he visited New World for a month, and then used the method of coding to enter the Fishman Island, then returned to the first half of the Grand Line from the Fishman Island. During this period, Khan also took Robin to see the historical text of the Fishman Island. If Shirahoshi hadn't been born yet, Khan actually wanted to see this generation of Poseidon. After 3 months, Khan and his group returned to the Sabody archipelago again. This time, they did not send the Grandine to the White Sea at an altitude of 7,000 meters, but released the only perception, and then used telekinesis to control grid. The Lantania sailed into the port of Isle 44. This is the civilian entrance to the Sabody archipelago in the area where the Thousand Sunny moored 2 years after the original. Because all the valuable things were put into Mary's castle. With Violet nearby, who can see a radius of 4,000 kilometers, Khan and his gang are not afraid of someone stealing the ship. After the sails were furled and anchored, a combination of a man and 6 women walked down the ship's ladder. As soon as they arrived, Khan and his gang caused quite a stir in the port. A large number of hot, greedy and coveted eyes were projected from all directions. Because the appearance of this combination is too high. Not counting the handsome young man Khan, the only ordinary-looking Sonia, and man Shirley who is like a pendant. Whether it is Hancock or Scarlet, or Robin and Mary, or even the young Violet, they are all peerless beauties and young girls. Especially the grown-up Hancock, Robin, and Mary, as well as Scarlet, whose figure is only inferior to theirs, but whose appearance has added points. These 4 super beauties have attracted countless men's eyes. Those eyeliners who were guarding the port and belonged to certain groups of bounty hunters and human traffickers seemed to see the dazzling golden light on these 4 super beautiful girls. If they were caught and sold to the auction house, wouldn't they become rich overnight? Those aristocratic lords, or rich people, will definitely fight for these 4 beauties. Thinking of this, those eyeliners immediately took out the phone bug, or left here, and told their boss and superiors the news of the treasure appearing on the 44th island. However, there were a few sensible people, as if they had discovered something. Cold sweat suddenly appeared on their foreheads. Hey! Are you kidding me? Why did such a big man appear in Sabody archipelago? Walking Scourge Cross Khan with a bounty of 1,055,000,000 Baileys, shouldn't this guy be in New World? Such a big pirate suddenly returned to the first half of the Grand Line, and there is no news at all. What are those 8 trigrams magazines and newspapers doing? When those sensible guys discovered Khan's identity, they cursed inwardly. They, who were eyeing the 4 daughters of Hancock, immediately dismissed this idea. Blue blue. Blue blue. The thoughts of these idiots and sane guys are all seen by Khan's unique perception and natural observation hockey. But he ignored it. It doesn't matter if you have ideas, but if you do it, you have to be responsible for your actions. Just when Khan was about to take Scarlet and his daughters to the specialty area and soap bubble park, suddenly, the voice of a phone bug rang from Khan's body. Few people know Khan's phone bug number. Even if King Liku wants to contact Khan, he needs to call Scarlet or Violet. There are currently only 2 people who can call Khan. One is Capone Beeg in West Blue, who calls Khan every month to report to him on the progress of the Capone family's unification of the West Blue Mafia. At the age of 14, he had seen Khan's monster-like power, and Capone Beg never betrayed Khan's thoughts. That kind of natural monster, if you want to kill yourself, you only need to blow one breath. After reading the news some time ago, and Khan's first battle in the Grand Line, the bounty skyrocketed from 300 million to 1.55 billion Baileys, and Capone Beg became more determined to follow Khan's ideas. In mid-June, Capone Beg called Khan to report the progress. Unless he was in danger at West Blue, it's unlikely the call was from Capone Beg. If it's not Capone Beg, then there's only the black market. Really? What? Your Excellency Khan, we have already sorted out the information you want, and the price is 5 million Baileys. When Khan answered the phone bug imitated a slightly respectful expression and said so. As Khan became one of the great pirates of the New World, his black market VIP status also became a super VIP. Even the heads of these black market strongholds need to maintain a respectful and flattering attitude towards him. Because such a big person, even their big boss, needs to be taken seriously. After Khan's status has risen to a higher level, the people who contact him will not be the person in charge of these strongholds. If Khan specifies that the person in charge should contact him, then the person in charge will be instantly promoted. Therefore, it is no wonder that the people on the other side of the phone bug are so flattering to Khan. Don't you see, when Khan buys the New World Influence map, he needs to spend 10 million Baileys. Now it is also buying information, only 5 million Baileys are needed. This is the benefit of Super VIP. Thank you for your hard work. Fax it now, and I'll send you the money later. Hearing this, Khan immediately replied with a smile. No hurry, Mr. Khan, we have great confidence in your reputation. The phone bug quickly said, then I'll fax the information right now. It is good. Khan nodded, and then released his telekinetic power to control a pen inside the Grandine from a very long distance. Then use the pen to start the special phone bug and fax machine. Get to work as the special phone bug opens its eyes. After a while, sheets of paper filled with words were spit out from the fax machine. Then the spit-out papers were held up by invisible thoughts and placed neatly on the table. Soon, all the information was faxed to the study room of the Grandine. Okay. After sorting out all the information, Khan greeted the person opposite the phone bug, and was about to hang up the phone like the previous transactions. Wait a minute, Lord Khan. At this moment, the phone bug suddenly stopped Khan in a hurry, and brought Khan an extremely surprising information. The phone worm lowered his voice and said, I just checked the signal wave of the phone worm, Mr. Khan. Your current location should not be in New World, but in Sabody Archipelago. If it's in Sabody Archipelago, you might as well go to the auction house in a few days. We have received a rumor that there will be 3 devil fruits auctioned at the auction house this season. Oh, that's really good news. Khan's eyes lit up and he said, how much does this information cost? No, I'm fine. The phone bug quickly shook his head and said, this is just a gossip, not intelligence at all, because our black market has not confirmed whether this gossip is true or not, so there is no need to pay. If you have time, Mr. Khan, I suggest you go and have a look. Maybe this gossip is true and there will be a pleasant surprise. I will, thanks for the reminder. You're welcome, then I won't bother you, Mr. Khan, goodbye. Goodbye. Looking at the phone bug who was sleeping with his head down, Khan raised his mouth slightly. What a surprise. Master, are you going to participate in this auction? Hancock asked, a little haze cast on his beautiful cheeks. Apparently, Hancock had bad memories running through his mind when he asked that question. Like her, there are 2 daughters, Sonia and Mary. Don't make such a face. Seeing the change in Hancock's expression, Khan, who was no longer able to pat her head to kill her, could only reach out and pat her delicate back, and said with a smile, you should think about it differently. If you weren't kidnapped by human traffickers, I won't meet you either, will you? Aha. Hearing this, the haze of the 3 Boya sisters was instantly dispersed by a ray of light. Yes. If they hadn't been abducted by human traffickers, they wouldn't have met the best master in the world. Thinking of not being able to meet the master, and only being able to leave Girl Island when going on an expedition, and seeing the scenes of practicing hockey and archery every day, or fighting with their peers, the 3 Boya sisters who have fallen in love with the outside world suddenly feel a little scared. Khan, who made the 3 Boya sisters feel better with just one sentence, continued to laugh and said, when the auction starts, I can go alone, and you stay and protect Robin and the others. I see. Hancock, who was the only one who also heard the conversations of those villains, couldn't help but nodded with a serious face. Seeing that Hancock understood what he meant, Khan smiled with satisfaction. At the same time, they are also full of expectations for this quarter's auction. I didn't expect to return to Sabody archipelago this time, and there was such a surprise. Paramecia sweet fruit, it is very likely that it has not fallen into the hands of celestial dragons, it is good. Good. Khan believes that this gossip is very likely to be true. And those 3 devil fruits, one of them was the Paramecia sweet fruit that he had always wanted. If it was just a devil fruit, Khan wouldn't think so. But with 3 devil fruits, the odds are great. Even if there is only a 1% chance, Khan will never miss this season's auction. Time flies, and it's the last day of June in the blink of an eye. This day is also the day when the auction house on the island of Sabody Archipelago 1 holds the quarterly auction. Just like what the person in charge of the black market in the city of 7 Waters said. The Sabody Archipelago hosts monthly auctions and larger auctions every 3 months. In other words, the auction house holds 4 large-scale auctions every year. Celestial dragons will basically attend every quarterly auction, wanting to see how many good things the auction house has collected in the past 3 months. In the eyes of villains in the lawless zone, the so-called quarterly auctions are held exclusively for celestial dragons. To be precise, this auction house was established specifically for celestial dragons. Auctions are held every month to sell rubbish to these poor ghosts, as well as those rich people who come to Sabody Archipelago for entertainment, and pirates who have not yet entered the Fishmen Island. The real goodies are saved for the quarterly auctions, for Bailey of the Big Spender's celestial dragons. Over time, everyone knows that there will be good things in every quarterly auction. Therefore, every quarterly auction is also the time when the traffic in the auction room is the largest and the atmosphere is the most lively. Just like last time, when Khan came to the auction house alone, it was already full of people. Even near the entrance, there are not many seats left in the last row. Sitting in one of the vacant seats, Khan crossed his elegant legs, propped his chin with one hand, and looked at the stage where no host had appeared yet. A look of regret flashed in his red eyes. These days, Khan is not doing nothing. On the contrary, just like last season's auction, Khan also had the idea of cutting off the 3 devil fruits in advance. It's a pity that the experience of this auction is too sophisticated and too cautious. They had long been prepared that someone would cut off their beards, and they didn't put the devil fruit in the auction house like those slaves. Even the people guarding the auction house don't know that there will be 3 devil fruits for auction in their auction house. The person in charge behind this auction house only spreads such gossip in the black market. Even if Khan has a unique perception and can read people's hearts, he doesn't know whether the gossip about devil fruit is true or not. Confidentiality, not generally good. Moreover, the operation of the auction house is the same as the auction house in the original book, which obviously has a mermaid, but did not directly post an announcement saying that they have caught a mermaid in the auction house, but spread gossip that the auction house suspected that there was a mermaid auction. It's a hype tactic. It is this kind of hype that makes Khan believe that the gossip about the 3 devil fruits is likely to be true. And there is a high probability that it is the Paramecia sweet fruit he was looking for, as well as the zone snake fruit that Mary and Sonia ate in the original book. Khan came back to his senses, and his eyes shifted from the stage to the position in the only row. That seat is a special seat exclusive to celestial dragons. Nobody can do it there except the celestial dragons. Otherwise, the auction house would not be able to open, and those who dared to sit in that row would either become slaves or be shot dead by celestial dragons. How can mortals be equal to gods for celestial dragons? It is already a gift from God not to let them kneel down to participate in the auction. When Khan came, the celestial dragons had also entered the arena. The celestial dragons sitting in that special seat were the same celestial dragons 3 months ago. Seeing this, Khan was even more sure that the gossip was true, and it was Paramecia sweet fruit and 2 zone snake fruit. Just hope the biggest idiot in the world doesn't kill himself. Thinking of this, a cold light suddenly flashed in Khan's red eyes. Gentlemen and ladies, thank you for taking your time to attend this auction. I am your favorite host. At this time, a voice spread throughout the auction house through the microphone connected to the amplified telephone bug. Even people not far outside the auction house could hear the shouts that exaggerated the atmosphere. With the appearance of the host, it also announced the official opening of this season's auction. They seemed to know that celestial dragons are also some impatient guys. Afraid that if he talked too much nonsense, he would offend the nobles of the world and be arrested as a slave, or ask the big boss to fire his host afterwards. After introducing himself briefly and igniting the atmosphere, the auction of this season began. Then one auction item was brought up, and another auction item was auctioned off. And these auction items are all slaves. As mentioned earlier, the annual quarterly auctions are held exclusively for celestial dragons. And celestial dragons love nothing more than slaves. These world nobles compare each other to show off how powerful and rare their slaves are, in order to gain a sense of accomplishment. Therefore, every year in the Dark World, the auction house buys slaves of various rare races or rare races at high prices. This has led to those groups of human traffickers, even the bounty hunters who can't make any money, arresting those rare races all over the world. The three Boya sisters were regarded as precious commodities and appeared in last season's auction because they came from the legendary Daughter Island and were very rare warriors of the 9 snakes. Among the auctioned items, Khan saw several races. There are long-handed tribes, fur tribes, murloc tribes, upgraded humans like Sonia whose stature does not conform to normal people, and even Sky Island's angel tribe. Obviously, some angels came down from Sky Island and were caught, or someone entered the Western Sky Summit, hunted down or abducted the angels, and brought them to Qinghai. Most of the slaves of these rare races were taken away by celestial dragons. The only thing that was missed was the upgraded human, who was photographed by an ordinary nobleman. As for ordinary slaves, they were divided among the rich and other nobles. Next, another slave was brought up. Seeing this slave, who had been doing nothing but releasing the natural observation hockey, monitoring the backstage of the auction house to see if the devil fruit had been brought over, and Khan, who had a chance to secretly cut him off, suddenly froze for a moment, and turned his gaze back to the stage. What froze Khan wasn't how rare the slave was. But this slave, he knew. This slave is a little girl who looks only 4 or 5 years old. She has short orange-yellow hair with a slightly different color from Mary's. She has baby fat all over her face, and she looks very cute in a timid manner. Perhaps it was this cuteness that poked celestial dragons sitting in the special seat, making celestial dragons decide to photograph her. This little girl, her name is Koala. Koala is still young now. If Khan hadn't glanced at her subconsciously, he would have heard the voice of Koala as so scary, from natural observation hockey, and he would not have recognized this cute little girl as Koala from the original Revolutionary Army. Similarly, Khan did not expect that Kral was auctioned in the same year as Hancock, but in different quarters. If it was auctioned in the same year and escaped from Marie Joy's in the same year, then it is indeed fate. Thinking of this, looking at the host who had already announced the starting price, Khan suddenly got up and left the auction house, took out his phone bug in a deserted place outside, and contacted Hancock who was shopping with Scarlet and the girls. Yes, Khan is ready to cut his beard again. Originally, he was still hesitating whether to give Scarlet the Paramecia dumpling fruit after raising Scarlet's favor. But now, Khan no longer intends to give the Paramecia dango fruit to Scarlet. Compared to Scarlet, Koala is more suitable to be a Paramecia dango fruit ability user. So, Khan was going to save Koala. But he can't steal Koala openly, or bid against celestial dragons. Just like what the head of the black market in the capital of 7 Waters said, Khan's reputation is very secure. That's what he built on his reputation with West Blue. The big boss of this auction house must be a giant in the Dark World, or even one of the Dark Kings. If Khan snatched Koala openly, even if the auction house did not retaliate against Khan afterwards, Khan's reputation would be seriously damaged, which would be detrimental to the future development of the Cross family. Neither does bidding with celestial dragons. If this celestial dragons is an idiot like Saint Charloise, it will probably mess up the auction later. If Khan kills the celestial dragons, the subsequent auction will definitely not go ahead. Those 3 devil fruits, even if they exist, will be used to apologize to the celestial dragons family, or saved for auction at a later date. Therefore, if Khan wants to cut off the beard, he can only take away Koala quietly like last quarter, so that people in the black market can't find out who stole the auction item. In Khan's eyes, no one is better suited for this kind of work than Hancock. The electric field of Logia thunder fruit cooperates with the radio waves to interfere with the signal waves of the phone bugs, making these phone bugs who are working at first close their eyes and go to sleep. Electric field teleportation can ignore all obstacles. As long as Hancock takes Koala out and takes her into Mary's castle, Koala can be taken away quietly. After instructing Hancock to bring the Scarlet Girls to Island 1, Khan returned to the auction house again. At this time, Koala has been auctioned by celestial dragons for 30 million Baileys, and the auction has come to an end. At last. Under Khan's slightly dazed gaze, a man in a suit who was sitting a few rows behind the celestial dragons suddenly stood up, carrying a relatively large silver metal box, came to the stage, leaned over to the host's ear and whispered after a few times. The host's face suddenly showed a strong look of surprise. And their conversations were all heard by Khan. It turned out that even the host was not sure whether the gossip was true or not. It wasn't until the auction was about to end that the person sent by the top to deliver the devil fruit would hand over the auction item to the host. And the celestial dragons have to be there for them to take out the devil fruit. If the celestial dragons don't show up today, that gossip will become false, and then it will spread around the dark world next quarter, and it won't become real until the celestial dragons are there. It has to be said that the cautiousness of the auction house really made Khan look at the big boss behind the auction house with admiration. At the same time, I understand their caution very well. Because devil fruit is different from a slave, it is a secret treasure of the sea that can make people soar into the sky. And the location of the Sabody archipelago is very special, where pirates who have opened up 7 waterways gather. Among these pirates, there is no lack of some rebellious lunatics and lunatics. If you let them know that there are devil fruits in the auction house, and that devil fruits are placed in the backcourt, these lunatics and lunatics who want to get soaring power will really do robbery. The backcourt is not safe, only Celestial Dragon's side is the safest place. So from the beginning, the 3 devil fruits are not in the backcourt, but behind the Celestial Dragons. As long as the devil fruit is auctioned in front of the Celestial Dragons, those lunatics and lunatics must hold back even if they have the urge to do something. Otherwise, they will be greeted by either the marine of the Sabody archipelago, or the highest combat power of the naval headquarters next door to the Sabody archipelago. Even Khan dismissed the notion of cutting off a man's beard by unscrupulous means. Of course, what he is afraid of is not celestial dragons and marine, but for his own reputation. He can steal and rob, as long as he is not discovered by others. Otherwise, unless the Cross family becomes one of the dominant forces in New World, it will be a family without credibility, and it will be difficult for them to gain a foothold in the dark world. So, Khan only hopes that the celestial dragons below, it is best not to kill themselves. Gentlemen and ladies, this auction is about to end, and the next auction item will be the last surprise of our auction house. They are called the secret treasure of the sea. Devil incarnate, devil fruit. At this moment, the host's shouts that ignited the atmosphere brought Khan back to his senses. The host opened the metal box handed over by the man in the suit, which contained 3 fruits of different shapes and colors, all of which were covered with special spiral patterns. The host held a microphone in one hand, pointed at the 3 devil fruits with the other, and said loudly, "These 3 devil fruits are treasures collected by our headquarters from all over the world after spending a lot of time and money. They are 1 paramecia and 2 zones, the full name is paramecia sweet fruit, and there are zone snake fruit boa form and zone snake fruit king cobra form. As the last surprise of this auction, these 3 devil fruits will not be auctioned one by one, but together. And its auction price is 300 million Baileys. I pay $1 billion. Just as the host's words fell. Before those pirates heard the gossip, the pirates who came here specially for the devil fruit held the auction cards tightly in their hands, swallowed nervously, and prayed in their hearts that the celestial dragons would not be auctioned. Celestial Dragons, who was sitting in the special seat, waved his hand and shouted a number that dissipated the passion of the audience. There was no sound of cheers from the audience, and the venue became completely silent. Just when the host looked excited and was about to pick up the hammer and strike to start the countdown, a voice that sounded from far away, but in the silent venue, it was extremely harsh, suddenly passed into the ears of the host, and also passed into the ears of everyone in the audience. "I offer 2 billion. I offer 2 billion. Khan's quotation successfully attracted the attention of the audience to him. The person looking at the offer was a young man in a white suit with short blue hair. Some people who didn't recognize Khan cast pity on him. And some people who recognized Khan had a slight change in their complexions, and suddenly had an ominous premonition in their hearts. This big man shouldn't be so impulsive, right? This gentleman bid 2 billion, is there anyone else who bid higher than this gentleman?" Even the eloquent host stuttered at Khan's offer. Obviously, he didn't expect that there would be people in this world who would dare to bid with celestial dragons. This guy, is he looking for death? The host, who also felt pity for Khan in his heart, quickly returned to normal. He picked up the wooden hammer and began to strike, shouting loudly, 2 billion for the first time, 2 billion for the second time. 3 billion. Surprisingly, celestial dragons didn't let the guards arrest Khan, who provoked the world's nobles, but frowned slightly, and then offered again. With just 3 bids, the auction price of these 3 devil fruits skyrocketed to 3 billion Baileys. If this auction can be successfully concluded, there is no doubt that the owner of this auction house must have made a lot of money. 3.5 billion Baileys. As soon as Celestial Dragon's new quotation was exported, and raised the price by 500 million again. Even Paramecia op fruit is only offering a reward of 5 billion in the black market. Paramecia sweet fruit, naturally not worth so much money. Even if there are 2 zones as extras, 3.5 billion is already a premium. Even the hegemony of the New World would not be able to spend 3.5 billion to buy a devil fruit. Because they have too many people to support, 3.5 billion is not a small number in this era. But such a small amount of money is not even a drop in the bucket for Khan, who owns a fabled gold country, an island full of minerals, and the blood of the largest gangster family in West Blue. A mere 3.5 billion, compared with the Paramecia rule class Paramecia sweet fruit, it is not worth mentioning at all. As long as it doesn't exceed 10 billion Baileys, Khan won't bat an eyelid. However, Khan doesn't care about the money, Celestial Dragons does. There's no denying that the Celestial Dragons are rich. Every year, more than 170 member countries need to pay a huge amount of heavenly money to the world government, as a protection fee for Marine to protect them, and the world government grants them various privileges. And 1/3 of the gold in the sky will be distributed to the Celestial Dragons of the 19 royal families. The remaining 2/3 and half will be allocated to naval headquarters and CP organizations. The last half is given to Enies Lobby and Deep Sea Prison. Although 1/3 of the heavenly gold is divided into 19 shares, each share is still an astronomical sum. But over the past 800 years, Marie Joyce has expanded countless times. The reason for the expansion of Marie Joyce is because the number of celestial dragons is increasing. After 800 years of reproduction, every royal family has many branches. For example, the father of Don Quixote Doflamingo is just a member of one branch of the Don Quixote family. Inside Marie Joyce, there are many celestial dragons called Don Quixote. For example, the celestial dragons who will be brought back to the Fishmen Island by Princess Otohime a few years later are called Don Quixote Muscaru. With more and more branches, the heavenly gold obtained by each royal family will be divided into countless shares and distributed to those family branches. If those branches of the family have children and grandchildren, they have to split their share and distribute it to these descendants. This has led to the relatively low status of celestial dragons. His pocket money for a month or even a year is actually only a few hundred million, or a few tens of billions. Celestial Dragons, which competed with Khan, is one of them. 1 billion can be obtained, 3 billion can be obtained, and even 4 billion can be obtained, and the Celestial Dragons can also be obtained. But after taking it out, he, who has always spent money like water, needs to save food and drink this year. Saving this kind of thing, Celestial Dragons never tried. Someone dared to bid against him, and this Celestial Dragons was also encountered for the first time. Therefore, the current Celestial Dragons are very angry. Since he was angry, some people dared to provoke the descendants of the Creator, mere human beings, and dared to provoke God. At the same time, he was also annoyed that, as a descendant of the Creator, he was not as rich as a mere human being. Simply unforgivable. Therefore, the impotent and furious Celestial Dragons immediately ordered to the 2 guards in black suits beside them, "Go and capture that damned human, I will make him my slave." Yes, shave. The 2 guards nodded respectfully, then used the 6 style shaving steps together, and disappeared beside Celestial Dragons. Hey! Why bother to find your own way? Khan, who saw Celestial Dragon's impotent rage and his orders, shook his head helplessly. Swish. As the words fell, a faint blue light slowly emanated from Khan's body. Then the 2 guards, who turned into afterimages that could not be caught by the naked eye, were rushing towards Khan, suddenly appeared in the mid-air of the venue. It's not that they jumped into the mid-air, but that when they passed through the mid-air, they suddenly lost control of their bodies, as if they had escaped gravity, and just floated in mid-air. On their bodies, there is also a layer of faint blue light like Khan's body. This middle-aged Celestial Dragons is obviously not a very high-status Celestial Dragons. The guards arranged for him by the world government or the family are just like the current Robin, CP agents who master 1.5 moves of superhuman skills. Agents like this, Khan has seen and killed many in West Blue. These half-hearted agents, after their bodies were covered by Nyun Libo, couldn't break free with their own strength like Oma did. Therefore, their lives have been held by Khan's invisible hand. If it weren't for the fact that telekinetic power can only hold up objects and cannot directly harm the human body, Khan can crush the two agents to death with just a single thought. Although it is impossible to directly harm the human body, Khan wants to use telekinetic power to kill these two agents. There are simply not too many ways. Khan then used the most common one, directly ending the lives of both agents and the celestial dragons. Whoosh, boom. I saw Khan's thought moved, and then he thought power to eliminate the air barrier, and threw the two agents floating in the air towards the celestial dragons sitting on the special seat at the speed of sniper bullets. As soon as the ear-piercing sound of piercing the air sounded, the special seats under the celestial dragon's buttocks were immediately torn apart. As if the ground had been hit by an invisible giant hammer, it was sunken in a large circle, and a large number of cracks appeared. Then 3 bright blood flowers bloomed at the bottom of the pit. After the dust dissipated, the celestial dragons and the two agents had disappeared. Instead, it was Santwo's fuzzy flesh and blood in white spacesuits and black suits. The speed of the two agents and Khan's attack was very fast, so fast that ordinary people in the venue, and even most of the pirates who opened up the 7 channels, didn't even react. When they came back to their senses, they looked at the pit below from high to low, and the fuzzy flesh and blood under the pit. The venue that fell into silence for a long time was suddenly broken by a scream that pierced the eardrums. Run away. The celestial dragons are dead, the Marine Admiral is coming. Hurry up and escape from this island. This lawless island is about to usher in a big cleansing. Get out of the way, don't get in Lousy's way. Get out of here quickly, you lowly pariahs. As the screams broke the silence, everyone scrambled to escape from the auction house. Whether it's commoners and pirates, or those wealthy businessmen and nobles who come to Sabody archipelago for entertainment, to see if there is a chance to hug celestial dragons' thighs, everyone dare not stay here for a quarter of an hour. The stampede happened in various places of the venue immediately. Looking at the frantically fleeing audience, the host standing on the stage dropped the microphone in his hand to the ground. Only the man in the suit responsible for delivering the devil fruit returned to the stage, closing the silver metal box and taking it away. However, just as the man in the suit approached the metal box, the same blue Nyun Libo as those on the two agents also covered his body out of thin air, ruthlessly depriving him of control over his body. Ka. Your Excellency Khan. The man in the suit, unable to move his whole body, could only move his eyes, looked at Khan who was flying to the stage in the air, and said with difficulty, This is against the rules. I know. Khan nodded, closed the silver metal box containing 3 devil fruits, and held it in his hand. Then he took out a card specially made by Robin for him, stuffed it into the left breast pocket of the man in the suit, and said, 3 and 5 billion is my offer just now. Since celestial dragons did not continue to bid, then the 3 devil fruit is mine. This card has my contact information on it. Let the people above you contact me, and I will remit the money to you. After speaking, Khan carried the metal box and disappeared in front of the man in the suit and the host. Khan, who disappeared like teleportation, did not leave the auction house directly, but appeared in the back field where the slaves were held. At this time, Hancock had already arrived at Island Number 1, and used electric fields and radio waves to block the signals of all phone bugs, causing the monitoring phone bugs to lose contact with the host and fall asleep. Boom Khan, who was the only one to see this scene, just appeared in the backcourt, and immediately released his conqueror's hockey. The invisible airwave, under Khan's deliberate control, only enveloped the backcourt, stunning all the slaves inside, including Koala. After killing the celestial dragons, Khan didn't have time to comfort Koala, and sent her a call. After stunning all the slaves, Khan, who has already used the natural observation hockey to read the hearts of everyone in the backcourt and knows who is guarding the key, successfully obtained the key to unlock the collar bomb. In fact, even without the key, Khan, who has not yet learned internal destruction, can use telekinetics to control the explosion time of the collar bomb. That's what he did when he saved the 3 Boya sisters. But this time, Khan wasn't going to do it, because he didn't want to stay even a little flaw. That's what Khan did when he intercepted the 3 Boya sisters last time. If it is still the same operation this time, it will be hard not to make people suspect themselves. After the auction house handled devil fruit carefully, Khan no longer underestimated the master behind the auction house. When the Cross family started to develop in the dark world, he might meet the owner of the auction house. Khan didn't want the other party to use this to make fun of him, which would seriously damage his image and personality. After unlocking Koala's collar bomb with the key, Khan told Hancock from the air, Hancock, now you ask Mary to take Scarlet and Violet, as well as Sonia and Man Shirley into the castle, and take Mary and Luo Wu come and join me. After speaking, Khan picked up Koala and disappeared into the backcourt. At the same time, Hancock, who originally received a call from Khan, used the electric field to teleport to Island 1 first, and was about to go to the back of the auction house to take Koala away, suddenly turned into a bolt of lightning and returned the same way. By the time Khan took Koala and reunited with the 3 daughters of Hancock, he was already on Island number 5. After receiving the call, I rushed to the illegal area from the specialty area, and I had to take care of Scarlet, who is an ordinary person, and Violet, who is not physically strong. This speed is already very fast. In fact, Khan didn't even need to come join them. As long as they appear within the scope of your perception, you can release your telekinetic power to lift them up and bring them in front of you. Not only them, but also the Grandine on the 44th island. If Khan is fast enough, before Marine arrives, he can use telekinetic power to wrap the sailboat, fly to a height of 7,000 meters, or sink into the sea, and quietly leave Sabody archipelago. But Khan didn't do that. Because some battles have to be fought, and must be fought. Beating celestial dragons or killing celestial dragons is the greatest crime. In the original book, Luffy beat Charles Rose to the ground. If Bartholomew Kuma hadn't saved him, and Marine Admiral was Kizaru, who upholds ambiguous justice, and he is the grandson of the Marine hero, and his father is the most vicious criminal in the world. The leader was the youngest 4 emperors, and most importantly, the time period happened to be the upcoming summit war with the Whitebeard pirates, unable to mobilize excess troops. Even if Luffy escapes by chance, the Windmill Village where he lives, and even the Goa Kingdom, will become victims of the 5 elders' efforts to stabilize the image of the celestial dragons. Not only that, but his Straw Hat pirates will also be hunted down in various ways. This is the difference between having a background and not having a background. Khan has no background, so if he sneaks away, he won't be able to find the human world government. In order to restore the image of the gods that celestial dragons have shaped for 800 years, Marine will definitely move his island of Morelli, and even ask Khan the island where he was born launched Buster Call, trying to force him out. Even if Khan retaliates with an eye for an eye and destroys the Marine branch and allied countries, it will only usher in an escalated siege by the world government and naval headquarters. If Khan really destroys the Marine branch and allied countries, then it will not be just an admiral, but the strongest shield of Admiral and Celestial Dragons, or a combination of Admiral and Marine heroes. At that time, in the eyes of naval headquarters, Khan was on the same level as an out-of-control lunatic like Douglas Bullet, and the most suitable place for him was the deep-sea prison. On the other hand, if you choose to fight instead of fleeing, the result will be different. As long as Khan survives from Admiral's hands, or escapes from Admiral's hands, then the wrath of the world government can only be vented on Admiral. Afterwards, the world government and Marine will not do anything to Khan's hometown, as well as the Isle of Morlaix. Because Khan accounts for it. World government and naval headquarters cannot cover up the matter of the auction house, or even the killing of celestial dragons. Because this is one of the largest archipelagos in the world and the center of the world. The whole story of the incident will definitely be announced to the world. If the world government and naval headquarters don't make sense and dare to launch a buster call to destroy the island, not to mention that naval headquarters will be completely disgraced, earning the title of running dog of celestial dragons, and seriously attacking the soldiers' righteous hearts. If Khan retaliated against naval headquarters and the world government, the world, who already hated the celestial dragons, would only applaud and ridicule them for their own suffering. Will the world government, which has 19 royal families and an astonishing number of celestial dragons, be ridiculed by the world for 1 celestial dragons who died unreasonably? Obviously, they definitely don't. Therefore, Khan must fight this battle. After the fight, his name will spread all over the world again, and his prestige and status will also rise to a higher level. At that time, once the Cross family starts to expand, it will quickly become one of the giants of the dark world. It's really scary that someone dared to take a shot at celestial dragons. While Khan was preparing for the upcoming battle, Vice Admiral named Peluzalino, Marine Admiral Sengoku's deputy, had already arrived at Sabody archipelago. And this Vice Admiral is Kizaru, one of the 3 future admirals. This year's Kizaru is only 39 years old, just like Shanks in the original 2 years later, his strength has reached its peak. The only thing I can't compare to myself 19 years later is probably the combat experience and the use of devil fruit. However, Kizaru now has an advantage that he will not have in the future, that is, youth. Being young means being physically strong, as well as being passionate. Kizaru, who has not yet been promoted to admiral, has begun to be lazy, but it will not be as obvious as in the future. At least under Sengoku's command, he is still very obedient. When I came to Sabody Archipelago, I didn't pretend to be suffering from Alzheimer's at a young age, but I made a phone call, as if I was contacting someone. Call out soon. Kizaru's body turned into countless golden photons and disappeared. Not long after Kizaru disappeared out of thin air, 5 large warships, capable of carrying more than 1,000 people, also passed through the special current at the Gate of Justice and arrived at Sabody Archipelago. The leading warship is Marine Admiral, the future Marine Admiral, Sengoku's main ship. At this time, Sengoku, with no soldiers around, was holding a phone bug in his hand, and was talking to Marine Marshal Kong. Marshal Kong, you have to be prepared to be scolded this time. I can't fly. I probably won't be able to stay that monster kid. Don't say this kind of stupid talk that boosts others' ambitions and destroys your own prestige. Didn't Peluzalino help you? Could it be that 2 against 1, you can't beat an underage brat? Kong on the opposite side cursed. It's all the fault of that bastard Garp, who suddenly ran back to East Blue last month and hasn't come back to report until now. Otherwise, the 2 of you will join forces, and that brat will definitely be thrown into the deep sea prison. There is no way. Who told that boy Long to suddenly bring him back a grandson? Sengoku also showed a smile on his face, and joked. That rash guy, I don't know if he can be a good grandpa. Stop talking so much nonsense. Go and arrest that lawless brat. Otherwise I will have to work for a few more years, and I am about to retire. It is really bad luck to encounter such a thing. The phone bug imitated Kong's unhappy expression and complained, then closed his eyes without saying hello the next second, and fell asleep with his head down. Obviously, the other party has hung up the phone. All. Trying his best for this reply, Sengoku, who hadn't said it yet, could only forcefully stop the words pouring into his throat, showing a very helpless expression towards Big Brother. After putting away the phone bug, Sengoku took out another phone bug from his body, put on a serious look, and ordered in a deep voice, the clearing operation, start immediately. Yes, Sengoku Admiral, X4 Vice Admiral, the headquarters responsible for the remaining 4 warships, immediately shouted Kaido. To wipe out the pirates and villains on the island. This is the reason why Naval Headquarters sent 5 warships, 5 vice admirals, and more than 5,000 soldiers. Sabody Archipelago has always been the place where the biggest face of justice has been faced. Since pirates have become the mainstream of the world, Naval Headquarters has been trying to get rid of this lawless island next door. But because of this place, it is the domain of celestial dragons. Marine, as the running dog of celestial dragons, is the same as those marine branches stationed in the waters near the allied countries. Unless they receive a signal for rescue, or something happens to celestial dragons on the island, they can only turn a blind eye to the darkness above. Everyone on the island knows this. That's why after what happened to the celestial dragons, the villains were so terrified that they wanted to grow a pair of wings and fly away from the Sabody Archipelago. Because after so many years, Marine finally found the opportunity to clean the Sabody Archipelago. Capturing Kong was incidental to Sengoku, and indeed Kong. As long as this lawless island is successfully cleaned, even if Kong runs away, the world government will lose. Their Marine is the biggest winner. If you can catch Kong, that's even better, double happiness. If they can't catch them, they, the winners, will be scolded. Therefore, it is so uncomfortable to leave it blank. I'm so overwhelmed by the win, and I still have to be scolded. What AF**K. Call out. Just when the 5 warships docked and started the encirclement and suppression operation. The speed is no less than that of Hancock, and even Kizaru, who is a little faster than Hancock in moving in a straight line, has successfully found the murderer who killed the celestial dragons. Endless golden photons appeared out of thin air in front of Khan and Hancock, and then condensed to form a tall figure in his early 3 meters who was still wearing a white suit and a hat. The person in this figure is Kizaru. Killed the celestial dragons, and still dated the maid so leisurely, as expected of a big pirate with a bounty of 155 million Baileys. It's really scary. Kizaru, who blocked Khan and Hancock's way, did not confront their opponents immediately, but slowly took out a pack of cigarettes from his body, lit a cigarette and put it in his mouth, and then pouted his mouth, speaking and acting completely inappropriate words. Master, as this guy Marine Admiral. Wearing a black and white maid outfit, Hancock, who seemed to be walking with Khan, looked at Kizaru vigilantly and asked. Hancock, who has a unique perception, has actually discovered Kizaru a long time ago. Facing this middle-aged man whose speed was no less than his own, Hancock, who thought that no one in this world could beat him in terms of speed, also felt a little pressure in his heart. However, Khan's next words made Hancock restrain his arrogance and no longer underestimate anyone. No, This guy is just Marine Vice Admiral Paluzolino, known as one of the 3 marine monsters. Looking at Kizaru, who was smoking a cigarette in front of him, Khan said with a smile, at the same time, he will be one of the 3 admiral in Marine's new era. It's an honor to be remembered by a big man like you. Kizaru played with ash, and said with a face, so, I don't know if Khan can cooperate with it, and take the initiative to put on seastone handcuffs to make the road to my ministry more smooth? Master, let me teach this rude guy a lesson. Looking at Kizaru, who didn't pay attention to Khan at all, he didn't know that Kizaru was the Hancock who deserved the most beating among the 3 admirals in the future, so he was filled with anger and asked Khan for instructions. Go. You really need an opponent to test your own strength. Khan nodded and said. He sent Mary and the Grandine away from the Sabody archipelago with telekinesis, and kept Hancock by his side, not letting her protect Mary, just to deal with Kizaru, who was likely to come. After all, in the naval headquarters of this era, there are only 2 of the 3 admirals left, and one of them is still in a semi-retired state. May 5th is the time when Luffy was born again. Garp is definitely not in naval headquarters right now. And Garp, who refused to be promoted as a lackey because he hated celestial dragons, would not come to capture Khan even in naval headquarters. Even if it comes, it will be more paddling than Kizaru in the original book. Therefore, the Marine Admiral coming this time must be Sengoku. And Sengoku's deputy, Kizaru again. If Hancock hadn't been given the age limit, Khan would have run away from Sabody archipelago without saying a word when he met such a combination. Even if he has 3 major cheats, it is impossible to beat the previous era. Like Garp versus Luogia, it is Sengoku who is Whitebeard's opponent, and Kizaru who is at his peak. If you don't run away, what awaits Khan is the prisoner in the deep-sea prison, and there are various executions that can't kill him. But Hancock had grown to 18, and that was a different story. Just like Mera Mera Fruit and Smoke Fruit can't tell the winner, Thunder and Light will definitely not be able to tell the winner in a short time. As long as Hancock helps him hold off the most annoying Kizaru, Khan is definitely worth a one-on-one Sengoku. I just took this opportunity to see how far I am from the superpowers standing on the highest peak in the world. As a time traveler, Khan knows one thing. That is, nothing will level up hockey faster than fighting weak against strong, evenly matched, and life or death. 2 years of painstaking practice is not as good as fighting a life and death battle with a super strong man. Khan, who has abused food for 15 years, has long wanted to fight with a super strong man. It's a pity that there are only small double-digit numbers of superpowers in this world. Among them, the superpowers of New World are either lone wolves that Khan cannot find, or they are powerful overlords. Khan took the liberty to challenge, which was no different from starting a war. Now, the combination of Sengoku and Kizaru is the best opponent for Khan and Hancock to test their strength. ZZZ. What Khan thought, no one knew. After seeing Khan nodding, Hancock's body suddenly shone with a fiery blue and white light. Then an invisible electric field opened up, and the 1.92-meter-tall figure wearing high heels immediately turned into a bolt of lightning and disappeared. This is. Seeing this scene, the expression on Kizaru's face was instantly replaced by horror. In the next second, Kizaru's observation hockey seemed to see something. His body, which was more than 80 centimeters taller than Hancock, turned into a dazzling golden light and pulled back, avoiding Hancock's sweeping long legs. At the same time, Kizaru also saw Hancock's white safety pants by looking back, and the maid's skirt was lifted. In normal times, Kizaru would definitely comment on this pair of safety pants, pretending to be regretful. But now, Kizaru, who has not reached the pinnacle of state of mind and strength in the future, looked at Hancock, whose body was shining with blazing electric light, and the movement just now was indeed similar to his teleportation, and slightly exclaimed, "The legendary Logia. Thunder Fruit, I didn't expect it to appear in this era. And the new generation of Thunder Fruit capable users are also other people's maids, what a terrifying combination." The last sentence is still Kizaru's mantra. It's just that it's different from the exaggerated and beating in the past. This time, Kizaru thinks so from the bottom of his heart. Zone Devil Fruit is the most obvious category of classification. Ordinary animals are divided into strong and weak, ancient rare animals are also divided into strong and weak, and even phantom beasts are also divided into strong and weak. And Tianlong is undoubtedly one of the phantom beasts standing at the top of the biological chain. Even among the phantom beasts, Khan's dragon form is one of the top abilities. And now, beside this Tianlong, there is also the person with the strongest Thunder Fruit ability in Logia as his deputy. Isn't this combination the young version of Sengoku Admiral and himself? Thinking of this, Kizaru felt a headache. When he came, he thought that he only needed to deal with Khan, and he only needed to hold the monster. When Sengoku Admiral came, the two could easily capture each other together. But with Hancock unleashing his Logia Thunder Fruit abilities, Kizaru is now thinking the same as Sengoku. Marshal Kong. I'm afraid he will be scolded. You ugly bastard, you talk so much nonsense. Hancock didn't know what Kizaru was thinking. Hearing Kizaru's words, she thought that the other party was trying to provoke the master-servant relationship between herself and the master, and her face sank. Zzz. The thunder and lightning lingering around Hancock seemed to feel the master's anger, and the volume and color couldn't help but become larger and deeper. The terrifying electric heat caused ripples in the surrounding air. Next Setsuna, Hancock's love turned into lightning and disappeared again. It teleported in front of Kizaru, and kicked out again. On the long white legs, there are dazzling electric lights, and there is Haki of the 9 snakes. During this time, Hancock listened to Khan's suggestion, suspended Haki's practice, and mainly practiced Marine 6 styles. Then when practicing Tempest Kick, Hancock accidentally discovered that he has a very high talent in kicking. It only took less than a day for Hancock to master Arashi feat, and also integrated the ability of Logia Thunderfruit to develop an extension technique. As a result, Hancock then majored in kicking, and embarked on a path similar to the original, but completely different. Looking at the long legs shining with blue and white lightning, at this moment Kizaru seemed to see his own reflection in Hancock's body. This combination seems a bit too much, doesn't it? Thinking of this, Kizaru raised his long legs without delay, shining a dazzling golden light, and collided with Hancock's sweeping kick. Boom! Terrifying light and electricity burst out from the feet of Hancock and Kizaru immediately. Then the golden and blue-white light curtain instantly drowned the two of them. In Khan's eyes, a golden and blue-white energy ball, each accounting for half, appeared immediately. The two colors of the energy ball are trying to annex each other. In the end, no one could do anything to anyone, and finally exploded on the spot like a huge bomb. The sound of the explosion was deafening, and the entire island, as well as the neighboring island, could hear the loud bang resounding through the sky. Then an astonishing torrential wave turned into a hemispherical cyclone, spreading from the location where the energy ball exploded, covering most of the small island in the blink of an eye. Wherever it passed, dust was flying, and countless bubbles burst on the spot. Even the resin floor was shaken out of countless cracks. Standing in the center of the airwave, Khan, who has the physique of a natural destroyer, holds his hands in his arms, and is not affected by the monstrous airwave at all. Immediately, Khan seemed to perceive something, and his eyes couldn't help looking somewhere. An equally tall figure, also ignoring the hurricane-like airwaves, walked slowly towards this side. The person in this figure is one of the 3 admirals of this era, the future Marine Marshal, Buddha Sengoku. It's actually Logia Thunderfruit. As soon as Sengoku rushed to the battlefield, he was immediately attracted by Hancock, who was competing with Kizaru in kicking skills. Looking at Hancock, who was shining with electric light all over his body, just like Kizaru, who was exuding dazzling golden light, the well-informed Sengoku immediately recognized Hancock's fruit ability. Then his heart sank suddenly. Sure enough, it has become a climate. As a phantom beast-capable person, and Sengoku, who is in charge of dealing with pirates on the front line, he knows better than anyone that the power of a natural destroyer also has the advantage of phantom beasts. Charlotte Linlin and Kaido have only one of them, and they have become one of the overlords in the era of great pirates. With these 2 advantages, Khan is even harder to kill than Kaido once he passes through the weakest infancy. Such a monster, even if it is only a lone ranger, will become an existence like the Red Earl. And now, beside this monster, there is actually the legendary Logia Thunder Fruit ability user as a helper. Such a combination did not allow Sengoku to substitute himself in Kizaru, but the gold and silver combination of Luogia and Rayleigh. If you don't take advantage of this combination and kill them in the cradle before they reach their peak in their 30s. 10 or 20 years later, the pirate world will definitely enter an era ruled by this pair. Thinking of this, Sengoku immediately yelled at Kizaru, "Paluzalino, don't be lazy, give me your all and arrest that woman." Swish. After finishing speaking, Sengoku's body also emitted a dazzling golden light. In the dazzling golden light, Sengoku's body, which was already 2.78 meters, began to grow at a speed visible to the naked eye, and soon turned into a golden Buddha more than 10 meters high. Boom! Sengoku, who transformed into a giant Buddha, kicked his feet directly, crushing the resinous ground under his feet, leaping tens of meters into the air at a speed that didn't fit his body type, and fell towards Khan. During the fall, Sengoku also raised his golden bergamot, and the entire palm was covered with a layer of transparent white light waves similar to shock fruit. This light wave is the superpower that comes with Zone Human Fruit Phantom Beast Great Buddha Shingji, Shockwave. It is also with this shockwave that Sengoku will become Whitebeard's opponent. Because of this shockwave, Whitebeard's shockwave can be blocked without consuming Haki. Similarly, this shockwave is the same as Whitebeard's shockwave, which can ignore the external defenses of the human body and directly cause damage to the internal body of the human body. This shockwave is also one of the few abilities that, like Armament Haki's internal destruction, and Conqueror's Haki Coil, can break through Khan's natural destroyer defenses. As soon as Sengoku made a move, it was calendar. Can't move. Just like Kong told him. If Khan is not dealt with as soon as possible, then in a few years, when Kong abdicates and it is his turn to take over, it will be a headache for Sengoku. In more than 10 years, he will not be at his peak, and Khan at that time, and the Logia Thunder Fruit ability user, have just entered their peak. Thinking of being old and having to deal with such monsters, Sengoku felt his scalp tingle. Therefore, Sengoku just wants to avoid future troubles now. Born observation Haki will Sengoku's inner thoughts, Khan in it, only feel speechless for a while. Good guy. I'm thinking about the future when I'm in charge, is this the resourceful general? At the same time, Khan's body also emitted a dazzling blue force wave. Then the body began to expand at a speed visible to the naked eye, and the appearance changed from a human to a huge blue sky dragon. Boom 1. In the process of becoming bigger, Khan also raised his huge dragon claw, clenched his fist with a layer of blue mind force wave, and met Sengoku's Buddha's palm. The dragon fist and Buddha palm collided with each other, but Kizaru and Hancock did not burst out with special effects. It was a blue energy wall, and a transparent white energy wall, which opened from their hands. Just like Conqueror's entanglement and collision, the fists and palms of one dragon and one Buddha are not actually matched together, but collided in the air. Astonishing shock waves and thought force waves continuously surged out from the hands of one dragon and one Buddha. At this moment, the one dragon and one Buddha whose size gap is becoming more and more obvious is like holding two shields of different colors, wrestling with you against me and against you. The final result was a golden Buddha more than 10 meters high, which was pushed away by Tianlong. No way, because the gap is too big. Originally, Sengoku was above Khan, but after Khan became a full body with a height of nearly 100 meters, he was on top and Sengoku was below. Khan, who has entered the full body, the evaluation of comprehensive strength has also directly changed from A to A+, or from S to S+. The skyrocketing comprehensive strength made Khan change from passive to active. Just by increasing the consumption of physical energy and transforming it into an astonishing wave of mental energy, Khan won this contest. It is also a phantom beast. Sengoku's normal state is far inferior to Khan's natural destroyer physique, and the gap in physical fitness is not as big as usual. So the speed at which he converts physical energy into shockwaves is simply not as good as Khan. Roar. After pushing Sengoku away, Tianlong let out a deafening roar. The terrifying sound waves, like telekinetic power controlling the wind, turned into a huge cyclone and spread in all directions. Even Kizaru and Hancock felt pain in their ears and had to stop fighting temporarily, turning their heads to look at the blue sky dragon like a hill. Is this the full body of the master? Looking at Haki's awe-inspiring, heavenly dragon exuding a terrifying aura, and Hancock, who regards strength as beauty, an unknown blush suddenly appeared on that beautiful cheek. Then Hancock held his cheeks in his hands, looked at the Tianlong he saw for the first time in reality, and said obsessively, "So handsome, so beautiful. Little girl, your aesthetics are terrible." Hearing Hancock's words, Kizaru once again showed a very embarrassing expression and complained. "What are you talking about, you ugly bastard?" Hearing this, Hancock immediately showed a master-level face changing, looking at Kizaru with a vicious face, and the ear-piercing sound of electric current sizzling from his body. In the next second, Hancock, who was burning with anger, instantly disappeared from Kizaru's eyes. In this regard, Kizaru raised his foot to gather the golden light, took out the cigarette case unhurriedly, took out a cigarette and put it in his mouth, pouted and said, "It's useless, little girl, just your little Haki accomplishments cannot hurt me." Of course, there was still a word Kizaru left unspoken. That is, he can't hurt Hancock either. In the battle just now, Kizaru was not a passive defense either. Several times in the fight, Kizaru covered the powerful armament Haki, trying to damage Hancock's body. It's a pity that every move of his failed, just as Hancock's attack fell on him. The gap between Kizaru and Hancock's Haki is very obvious. Hancock's armament Haki, far inferior to the 39-year-old Kizaru. As for Kizaru, observation Haki, which is much more powerful than armament Haki, is not as good as the only observation Haki that exists after Hancock's fusion of radio waves. Unless someone of these two people has the ability to predict the future that the other party does not have, or exhausts the other party's armament Haki and stamina, the duel between thunder and light is just like the duel between Aokiji and Akainu's ice and magma. Very long protracted battle. Just when Kizaru used practical actions to make the angry Hancock calm down slowly, he had to accept the fact that he couldn't hurt this ugly monster. In another battlefield, Yinlong and Buddha fought again. Letting out a roar after transforming is Khan's habit of venting his soaring strength. After venting this pleasure with a roar, Khan, who became a dragon, seemed to be infected by Zone's wildness. His blood was boiling and he was full of fighting spirit. So after roaring, Tianlong took heavy footsteps like mountains. Every step was on the resinous earth, leaving a huge dragon claw footprint, and ran towards the golden Buddha. At the same time, Tianlong also clenched his fist with the dragon claw again, covering the dragon fist with a layer of blue thought force wave. It's just different from Nian Libo just now. As soon as the Nian Libo condensed on the dragon fist this time, the blue light wave, which was the same color as Tianlong's skin color, gradually turned into a transparent white color like the shock wave of the great Buddha at a speed visible to the naked eye. Witnessing the color change of Nian Libo, Sengoku's observation Haki, and the experience of hundreds of battles, they all felt a little threatened. Never let this wave of light touch your Buddha body. Then, Sengoku raised the Buddha's palm again, condensing a transparent white shock wave, and then the figure of more than 10 meters high jumped in place, like a huge golden arrow, violently shot towards Tianlong's head. Seeing that Sengoku's target was his own head, Tianlong immediately punched him. Boom. The speed of Tianlong's punching is so fast that it doesn't fit Zhao Shan's general body shape at all. Sengoku, who also has a speed that doesn't fit his body size, can't turn and dodge in the air. He can only swing the Buddha's palm and collide with the dragon fist that condenses transparent white light waves. When two transparent white light waves burst out the energy inside, Sengoku finally knew why Jalibo changed from blue to transparent white. Because it contains the power of the wind. Her. Chi 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 chi. The whistling sound of howling ghosts and howling wolves immediately reached Sengoku's ears, Kizaru's and Hancock's ears, and even spread throughout the entire island, and even the next door island. A cyclone formed by a hurricane spread out from Tianlong's feet, covering half of the island in just a few blinks of an eye. The terrifying gust of wind not only blows everything away, but even wind blades appear out of thin air, leaving traces of slashing on the resinous ground and on the red trees, big or small. Some mangrove trees hit by the wind blades were split into two, or cut into several sections. The sound of tearing cloth resounded continuously. Clang clang. The battle between Kizaru and Hancock was interrupted again. Both bodies were cut into photons and electric current by the invisible wind blade. On the other hand, at Sengoku's indestructible Buddha body, there were constant sounds of metal collisions. A series of wind blades appeared in the hurricane. Then, under the control of Khan's telekinesis, he turned a corner to avoid the energy wall formed by the shock wave, and hit Sengoku's body from different corners. It's a pity that the light wave that compressed the power of the wind just now did not burst out from Sengoku's body, and most of the energy only destroyed the topography of the island. Such a little wind blade can't break Sengoku's Buddha body defense at all. The opponent is useless, even armament Haki. Seeing this, a blue light flashed across Khan's long and narrow red vertical pupils. He is about to enter full power mode. How powerful is Khan's full power mode? This, even Khan himself does not know. But before turning on the full power mode, Khan ordered to Hancock, who couldn't hurt Kizaru and was just wasting energy, "Hancock, leave this island quickly. It's best to keep 2 or 3 islands away from me." "Yes, master." Hearing Khan's words, the faces of the 3 present all changed slightly. Then Hancock, who blindly worshipped Khan, nodded with a serious face, opened up the electric field with all his strength, turned into a bolt of lightning and quickly fled the island. "Perusalino, do it with me. It's really scary. I actually felt the long-lost suffocation in that reminder." Sengoku didn't let Kizaru chase Hancock, but took advantage of Hancock's departure, and wanted to take the opportunity to join forces with Kizaru to quickly arrest Khan and even kill him. Under Kizaru's half-true and half-fake exclamation, on Sengoku's golden Buddha's palm, a dark red lightning suddenly appeared out of thin air, lingering around the Buddha's palm. A power of another dimension was condensed in Sengoku's hands. Speed is power. At the same time, Kizaru's 3-meter-high figure also turned into golden photons and disappeared. Then endless photons quickly gathered Kizaru's figure above the back of Tianlong's head. Kizaru stuck in the air with his hands in his pockets, a cigarette in his mouth, raised his right foot shining with golden light, and asked Tianlong from behind, "Have you ever been kicked by the speed of light?" Boom. As soon as the words fell, Kizaru kicked his famous blow towards the back of Tianlong's head. With this blow, even if the mangrove tree of the Sabody archipelago hits, it will be instantly broken. Even if the mountain is hit, the mountain will explode. But it was such a powerful blow, but it didn't touch the back of Tianlong's head at all, and it was bounced back, submerging Kizaru. Then a huge golden light beam shot up from the island at a slanted angle, and flew to 1,000-meter altitude in the blink of an eye, bursting out a huge golden firework. The explosion sounded as loud as thunder, and spread throughout the 75 small islands of the Sabody archipelago from top to bottom. Are you kidding me? In the air several hundred meters away, Kizaru broke free from the light beam and landed back on a red tree on the small island. Looking at the blue thought force shield floating on the back of Tianlong's head, his emotions rarely fluctuated enormously. G-channel. Even this blow can be blocked. Isn't there an upper limit to the defense of his psychic shield? Born observation Hockey heard this sentence. Tianlong curled his lips in disdain. With his thought power, even an island can be lifted up. It's just a daydream to want to break his mind force shield with a mere move of light speed kick. Even if the power of the speed of light kick reaches the level of destroying islands, it still cannot break Khan's mind shield. But at that time, if Khan could hide, he would definitely hide. Otherwise, to prevent the next big move that destroys the island, he needs to consume the physical energy that can lift an island. As strong as Khan, his physical ability can only block a few shots at most, or even a small 2-digit island destroying big move. It took Khan a few days to return to Dressrosa with Morlaix because he took a rest en route. After all, that journey is more than 100 times farther than Kaido taking Oni Island to Wano-kuni. Roar. After ignoring and bouncing back Kizaru's light speed kick, Denon let out a deafening roar as if enraged. The terrifying sound waves spread like a cyclone again. Rumbling. Immediately, Sengoku, who had already charged up and was about to make a move, and Kizaru, who was on the tree, felt their feet shaking and almost lost their balance. The resinous land under their feet, to be precise, the entire island, was vibrating violently as if it had been hit by an earthquake. After roaring, Tianlong's body was covered with a layer of blue Nyan Libo. And the blue radiance is still crazily emerging. After the brilliance disappeared, the hurricane that swept everything away swept across the entire island. The howling sound of howling ghosts and wolves can be heard from several surrounding islands. Crack, crack, crack. The speed of the hurricane sweeping across the entire island was so fast that Sengoku hadn't reacted yet, and was about to attack Khan with the strong wind, interrupting his spellcasting. The scene that made Sengoku's face change suddenly appeared again. I saw several small cyclones appearing out of thin air around the blue sky dragon. Then these small cyclones, like magnets, attract all the howling winds, condensing and strengthening themselves. In the blink of an eye, these small cyclones turned into a group of tornadoes. Then the suction became stronger, as if it wanted to attract the strong wind that swept across the entire island. The terrifying suction directly lifted the surrounding mangroves, flowers, trees, and even buildings, etc. all up from the ground, flying towards the rapidly growing tornado group. Even Sengoku and Kizaru are affected by this suction. The huge Buddha body more than 10 meters high moved slowly towards the tornado group uncontrollably. And Kizaru was even more unbearable. If he hadn't turned into endless photons in time, he would have been pulled over by that horrible suction. Perusalino, let's do it together. Sengoku, who was pulled back to his senses by the suction force of the tornado group, immediately shouted. Then, with the help of that amazing suction force, the Golden Buddha, more than 10 meters high, flew towards Khan, who was constantly transforming his physical energy into mind power. On the palm of the Buddha, surrounded by dark red lightning, a transparent white shockwave condensed again. Shockwave plus Conqueror's Winding. This is undoubtedly the ultimate move in the ultimate move. Sengoku hasn't used such a big killing move for many years since Luojia's era ended and Whitebeard became the recognized uncrowned king. The last time it was used, it was with Garp to deal with the Golden Lion. But today, Sengoku used such a big killer move again after many years, but the target changed from Sunbeard to Khan. Looking at Sengoku's palm full of special effects, Khan, who was casting a spell, also felt the strongest breath of danger since birth. Just like Sengoku's idea before, so is Khan's idea. Absolutely can't be hit by this move, hit your body head on. So, Khan had an idea. Several tornado groups around Tianlong, which had grown from small cyclones to the level of 100 meters, and were still growing, moved towards the blue Tianlong one after another, and revolved around Weilong. Looking at Tianlong, who used the tornado group as a wind wall defense, Sengoku urged loudly, Paluzalino. Light speed kick. Boom. Not wanting to be caught by Kizaru, who was wearing small shoes afterwards, he quickly kicked out a huge golden light beam, flew not far from Sengoku, and hit a tornado. The terrifying explosion sound immediately brought up a huge mushroom cloud. But just after the mushroom cloud emerged, Sengoku and Kizaru's faces became sour again. In normal times, the mushroom cloud created by kicking at the speed of light on the land would last at least 10 minutes before disappearing. But now, the mushroom cloud has only just emerged, and it hasn't even fully formed yet. The smoke and flames are all sucked away by a terrifying suction force. Immediately, a huge fire tornado came into the eyes of Sengoku and Kizaru. Kizaru's lightspeed kick just now did destroy a tornado and break a corner of the wind wall. But in the next second, the broken corner was repaired again. What made up this corner was the flames created by Kizaru's lightspeed kick, and the strong wind that swept across the island. Hey! Do you want to be so exaggerated? At this time, Kizaru, who hadn't had time to marvel, the world-class, unique existence, only short of observation Haki's range of perception and predicting the future, suddenly looked up at the sky as if he had seen something. Like him, there is also Sengoku, who can't break through the tornado group and has to prepare to use the condensed different dimensional means to break through the wind wall. When the two looked up at the sky, their pupils shrank involuntarily. Regarding the title given to Khan by the CP organization in the intelligence department, the two feel extremely appropriate at this moment. Here it is. The Walking Scourge, Cross Khan. Profound truth. Great. Disaster. Change. At the same time, the blue sky dragon, which was surrounded by tornadoes and tightly protected, also let out a dull thunderous roar. With the roar of the sky dragon falling, Hancock, who has already used the electric field to teleport away from the island, and the people of the entire Sabody archipelago, just need to look up to see the end of the world. Hey! What's that? Is it raining? Wait. Why is the rain blue? What are those red lights? Is it the sunset of the sun? It's dusk so soon, today's time flies so fast. No, that's the Great Flood, and meteorites. F*K-off. What are you kidding? Why is there a big flood in the sky? Those red ones are all meteorites? Such a large area of red spots, could it be meteorite rain? It's really a flood and a meteor shower, run away quickly. It's over, the end of the world is coming. At this moment, not counting the battlefield where the three of Khan were on, the civilians, wealthy businessmen, nobles, villains, pirates, and marines on the other 78 small islands all stopped their movements. They all seemed to have forgotten to avoid, hide, escape, resist, and chase. All of them looked up at the sky. I saw that the originally blue sky turned red like the sunset glow of the sun. In this red sky, red dots like night stars can be seen faintly, zooming in at a speed visible to the naked eye. But before they could see what these red dots were, a blue sky appeared above the Sabody archipelago again, and entered everyone's eyes before the red dot above. It turned out that this blue sky was a huge flood formed by countless tons of seawater. As for where the Great Flood came from, even the well-informed Marine Vice Admiral, who was responsible for leading a team to capture pirates and clean the Sabody archipelago, couldn't figure it out at all. Before they could think about how the Great Flood came, those red dots caused countless people to widen their eyes, showing panic and fear. Because of those red dots, it is impressive that the whole body is burned red, and even the meteorite rain is braving flames. In this world, there are gods of water that are countless times more terrifying than the Great Flood, and there will be one every year in the capital of Seven Waters. But for ordinary people, great floods and meteorite rain, these two natural disasters that only existed in ancient times and myths, are rare spectacle that have been seen for countless years. But now, these two kinds of natural disasters appear at the same time. Some people with relatively poor psychological quality were frightened by such a scene on the spot, their legs trembled and they sat on the ground paralyzed. And some women were even more unbearable, and were directly frightened and fainted on the spot. Just when everyone thought their life was over. After the flood and the meteorite rain fell to a certain height, they suddenly seemed to be attracted by an irresistible magnetic force, and great changes occurred one after another, falling towards a small area of the Sabody archipelago one after another. And that small area is the three small islands centered on the battlefield of the Three of Khan. Among them, the small island where the Three of Khan are located is the place where the Great Flood and meteorite rain mainly take care of. The first is the Great Flood. Just entering the small island swept by the hurricane, the countless tons of seawater controlled by the power of the mind, suddenly split into two. Half of them merged with the strong wind, forming a double-digit waterspout group in the blink of an eye, sweeping away from all directions towards the center of the battlefield. The other half seemed to be given life by the Creator, forming a water dragon with the same double digits, roaring towards Sengoku and Kizaru below. At the same time, the group of tornadoes rotating around the blue sky dragon, and a fire tornado formed by Kizaru's light speed kick, also swept towards Sengoku and Kizaru under the control of telekinesis. Waterspouts from outside to inside, wind tornadoes and fire tornadoes from inside to outside, and waterspouts falling from the sky. Sengoku and Kizaru are now surrounded by tornadoes of three elements. Seawater. He actually used telekinetic power to move the seawater into the air? At this time, Kizaru couldn't maintain the look of being beaten, and said in disbelief, "Why didn't I notice it at all? How far can his telekinetic power control? And he is not afraid of himself when he creates so many waterspouts. Will you lose your ability if you touch it?" Asking 3 times in a row, in normal times, it is almost impossible for Kizaru to appear. From this we can see how shocked Kizaru's mood is now. If it was just wind tornadoes and fire tornadoes, even if there were meteorites raining in the sky, Kizaru would not pay attention at all. But unfortunately, there are double-digit waterspouts and waterspouts. Being in a tornado area where suction is everywhere, once it turns into a photon, it will be pulled by the strong suction. Kizaru, who couldn't ignore all obstacles and teleport like Hancock, was also extremely stressed. Once accidentally hit by a waterspout, even he would lose his fighting power in an instant. What made Kizaru even more incredible was that Khan, who was also surrounded by them like them, dared to create such a massive natural disaster. Even if the other party's telekinesis can control these tornadoes, isn't he afraid that he and Sengoku Admiral will join forces to interfere and let him also be hit by the waterspout? Isn't he afraid of the sea, or does he want to die with himself and Sengoku Admiral? Boom. At this moment, a loud noise brought Kizaru back to his senses. I saw that the wind tornado and fire tornado had already attacked Sengoku first. To be precise, whether it is a wind tornado, a fire tornado, or a waterspout, or the water dragon and meteorite rain in the sky, it is the courage Khan prepared for Sengoku. After the confrontation between the two punches just now, and Sengoku didn't even use armament haki, and only relied on the defensive power of the Buddha's golden body, he ignored the attack of the wind blade. Khan has figured it out. Just like those who don't understand internal destruction and conqueror's entanglement, and don't have special abilities, can't break through their own defenses. I haven't mastered the advanced use of armament haki and conqueror's haki, and I can't break Sengoku's golden Buddha statue. On the other hand, Sengoku has 3 ways to break the defense of Khan's natural destroyer physique. They are the shock wave that comes with the Buddha form, the internal destruction used by armament haki at the highest level, and the conqueror's entanglement of the different dimension level. If any of these 3 methods hits Khan, he will feel very uncomfortable. Although Khan's telekinetic power can protect himself in all directions, as long as he consumes physical energy, even Kizaru's light speed kick can be rebounded by him. Even if it is Sengoku's 3 means that symbolize the ultimate person, Khan can resist it with telekinetic power, but it consumes more. But this kind of fighting is not what Khan wants. With just 2 punches, Khan already knew the gap between himself and the super strong. He has already set foot on the highest mountain in the world with 1 foot. He is also a phantom beast capable person, which symbolizes the ultimate person. Sengoku is still at the peak of his strength. His physical fitness is not comparable to his own. Without the superpowers of haki and eudemons, Khan can definitely suppress Sengoku by simply competing for strength. But it's just 1 foot on the highest mountain in the world. Khan has another foot left. The other foot symbolizes the realm. This realm can be said to be the realm of haki, or the awakening of devil fruit. Khan's physical fitness, even the super strong can't match it. As long as he masters the most advanced use of conqueror's haki, our devil fruit enters a higher level of awakening, so that the evaluation of overall strength changes from A+ to A++, or from S+ to S++, then he will climb to the highest peak in the world, super strong. Even among the superpowers, they will be the strongest group. If you use the level of the game to divide, 80 or 90 levels are considered super strong. But a super strong man at level 80 will definitely not be able to beat a super strong man at level 90, and a super strong man at level 90 will not win against a super strong man at level 99, which symbolizes the ceiling of the super strong man. A ceiling player at level 99 can't beat a god level player who breaks through the ceiling of the world and reaches the level of a 100 level god. The current Khan is above the 80th level and below the 90th level. But because there is a plus sign behind the level, even superpowers above level 90 can't help Khan in a short time. Yes, only for a short time. If Khan continues to engage in melee combat with Sengoku, he will consume physical energy and transform it into telekinetic power to resist Sengoku's shockwave or the advanced use of Haki, and his physical energy consumption will be several times that of Sengoku. If the fight continues like this, it won't take long for Khan, whose physical strength is many times stronger than Sengoku, will soon be on par with the opponent, or even less than the opponent. It was the reason why the previous punch that compressed the power of the wind was scattered by the shockwave of Sengoku's memoir, so Khan saw this clearly and directly used his profound truth cataclysm. He wants to exchange Sun with Sengoku. Khan consumes a huge amount of physical energy to successively create hurricanes, floods, tornadoes, fire tornadoes, waterspouts, water dragons, and even use telekinesis and the unique observation Haki to pull down meteorites from outer space to form a meteorite rain, is to surround Sengoku in all directions, so that he has nowhere to hide, can only consume physical energy to convert into shockwaves, and consume Haki to resist Khan's catastrophe. After the cataclysm is over, Sengoku will be seriously injured, if not dead. Even if he is not seriously injured, his physical fitness and Haki will definitely bottom out. Although Khan also consumed most of his stamina, even if only a small part of his stamina remained, he was still at the level of a monster. At that point, Khan will be able to ask Sengoku for the most advanced use of Conqueror's Haki. 8-foot Chong Guyu. Just when Sengoku cast a different dimension method, he created a transparent white mask similar to Bartholomew Kuma, which expanded towards the tornado group, and there were dark red lightning flashing inside. Due to the suction force brought by the tornado group around, it cannot be turned into photons to be precise, it is turned into photons to avoid the unsafe Kizaru, which also consumes a huge amount of physical energy. Hands crossed in front of the chest, holding an orchid finger, towards with the double-digit water dragon roaring down from the sky, it released a golden barrage formed by countless light bullets. Rumble, rumble, rumble. It's like the 10 warships of Buster Call bombing an island in unison. Countless light bullets soared into the sky, and after colliding with the water dragon in the air, they immediately exploded into fireworks that enveloped the entire island. A series of explosions also spread throughout the Sabody archipelago. After the light bomb shattered the water dragon, the light and heat also evaporated the seawater, forming white water vapor, like a dense fog, which soon enveloped the entire island. At the same time, an astonishing amount of meteorite rain, also under the control of telekinetic power, is like a Kainu's meteor volcano, scrambling to smash into the white snow. Rumble, rumble, rumble. A series of explosions that had just subsided once again spread throughout the Sabody archipelago. Even the naval headquarters next door to the Sabody archipelago can faintly hear the sound of a cannon. And this time the explosion also caused a violent shock. Perhaps because of the oneness, the other 78 small islands were all affected by the shocking series of explosions.